Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
You don't have to wait for the weekend to enjoy brunch. Early Bird serves delicious breakfast and lunch every day at 5 convenient locations like the Blackstone District, Shadow Lake Town Center, Regency Landing, West Omaha, and Village Point. Enjoy Benedict's, omelets, pancake flights, and a full menu of breakfast cocktails. This holiday season, give the gift of brunch. Buy $100 in gift cards and get $25 free. Download the Early Bird Brunch app. Early Bird, not your everyday brunch, every day.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you're having a tough time or thinking about suicide, you're not alone, and there's hope. VA's Veterans Crisis Line has responders who listen and help. Many are veterans or have veteran family members and friends, so they're prepared to address your challenges. Don't wait. Dial 988, then press 1.
1620 The Zone.
All right, good morning. It is a Friday. It is frigid. It is football. It is a lot of other things going on. Welcome in, everybody. Gary and Matt, good morning.
Good morning.
Good start to the morning because I noticed that after, I would say, probably 2 months of not being used, sitting on the corner of one of the busiest streets, if not the busiest street in all of Omaha, the porta potty is gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody heard your calls. Somebody heard your concern. That's a big day. That's a big deal.
Well, after the wind knocked it down, I noticed yesterday somebody had picked it up, and today I noticed that it is now gone. So the person that lives on the corner of 52nd and Dodge, you are probably a happy person that you don't have to wake up, go out and get your Omaha World Herald on the stoop and stare at a porta potty sitting right there on a main artery in this city.
Do you think they were ever calling to be like, hey, there's a porta potty here, you should probably come and pick it up? Or do you think maybe they used it a couple of times and thought it was convenient?
I'm going to doubt the latter.
Okay.
I think if you have indoor plumbing, you would choose indoor plumbing over a porta potty.
I hope so.
I'm not sure about your Neanderthal lifestyle, but that would be my choice.
I mean, obviously, I think it goes without saying that if you could take a crap in a very, well-conditioned, well-heated, lit area where you could actually flush the toilet and not have to deal with the smells of the fecus below you, could probably...
Could be a poll question.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I think I'd probably rather also want to just take it out of my own bathroom as well. That's great, though, that it's finally gone. It's also great today, too, that I don't mind the cold. I mind the frost. Like, I mind
Scott.
Yeah, a lot of people mind him.
I mean, yes. I mean, that goes without saying. But I just mind when I get up. Well, yeah. I mean, I just mind when I get up to my car and I have to, like, scrape, like, everything off. And also, too, I don't know if you've noticed this because you probably...
because I have a garage.
Okay, no. Not
nice
in
and
terms
toasty
of frost,
car.
but in terms of... Like, you probably are the type of guy that you probably buy window washer fluid like in bulk, or you have a couple, or you have an extra laying around. You're probably
I got a guy for that.
Yeah, you have a guy for window washer?
I have a guy for that.
Oh, that becomes
Why
a
do you
hot
need a
commodity.
guy for window washer fluid?
Because whenever it gets low, I go see my guy and he takes care of me.
Do you go to the gas station?
No.
And where is your guy located?
Guy that sold me my car. He's like, anytime. He goes, anything wrong with your car? He goes, anything you need.
Do you get it
oil
for
change?
Do you get it for free?
Uh-huh.
You get free window washer fluid?
Yeah,
That's
you
a
get free
big
oil
deal.
change,
You
too.
That is a massive deal.
You can't find a bottle if it gets nasty for a while.
Okay.
here.
I went to 3 different gas stations about 3 days ago and could not find any window washer fluid. And I was like, how is this possible? We are in the winter. We are in disgusting,
It's gonna snow tomorrow.
Yeah,
Because we have had snow, we've had thawing and melting, and so people are stocking up.
I was driving home from Ralston a couple of days ago, and I could not see out of my window. I could, like, literally, it was all gunked up and everything like that. You have a window washer fluid guy?
Yeah, I have a guy that takes care of my car.
That's awesome.
That was the deal when I bought the car.
Yeah, that's
That
actually
you got free.
That's
window
low key
washer
smart.
fluid?
I got free oil changes.
You get free oil changes?
Yeah. Did you not negotiate that when you buy your car?
You gotta
No.
negotiate that.
By the way, do we even negotiate like prices anymore at the dealerships? Like, is that a
yeah.
thing? Okay.
That is the joy. That is the excitement. I will do it on behalf of others. I have actually done that for a couple of people. They're like, and then they're female friends of mine. That, sometimes when a female goes into a car dealership, the idiot salesperson who just takes that person for granted, they don't know anything. They try and, So I have twice gone with a female friend, and they've said, hey, just come with me. And so, to make sure that they're not taking advantage of, and any questions that come up, I can help them with. And so one person,
good man.
I got about, I don't know, 2,000 taken off the sticker price.
My dad's so the reason why I asked is I think because they have all these blue sticker prices and they have all these online things, and I was just like, because of technology that probably isn't as prevalent as it used to be. But my father, very much like you, did that for other people, would go to the dealership with
It's
other
fun.
people. And do
No,
that.
yeah, you're probably right. Like nowadays, it's not as frequent as it was when our pops would be like, "Hey, watch this."
Sure.
And so when he goes in and buys a car every couple of years, he's like, "This is my Christmas." As I walk in, because I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him.
It's you versus the dealer. My dad's rule was you don't buy the car until they go back the 5th time. It's like you got to make them go back 5 times, and when they come back the 5th time, then you're good to go. Then you buy it.
You didn't negotiate when the extra amenities when you got your vehicle?
I never purchased my vehicle.
Oh, that's right.
It's a 2016 model. I've never bought a car, so maybe I should bring you with me.
That's what I was going to say. Take him with you.
Maybe I will.
Get you a good deal.
So 2026 will be the.
I
year.
got a guy and I got a location.
The 2026 will be the year that I buy a car.
Is that also the year you come off of your parents' insurance?
No, that is 2020.
That could be a big year.
That's 2027.
Yeah,
I come off the parents' insurance. I'm young. You have a young co-host.
Everybody out there is feeling very sorry this morning for you. They're like, "Oh man, wait till you get in the real world and you grow up and you become an adult. You're gonna hate it."
I'm getting
Just
there.
stay young.
You're taking how much out of my paycheck?
We have talked about all the different things and responsibilities that I've had to go through, and also too, I want to give both of you credit. I have had multiple times where I've had questions about life. I'm like, "Hey, am I supposed to do this or?" How do I change my filters or anything like that? And
It's not supposed to.
You guys have been there for me, so I appreciate it. But yeah, 2026 will be the year that I buy my first car.
Nice, 16,
I'm
20.
already
a car.
saving money for it.
So we're about ready to flip into 2026. Wait till you see the sticker prices.
I'm gonna get a Camry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you did say.
I'm gonna get a Toyota Camry. I need fuel efficiency. I need to get off premium gas. I need to get off 20 miles to the gallon. Not even. I got to get off 17 miles to the gallon. I have to stop I fill up my tank 1.5 times a month. It's way too expensive. It's ridiculous. Toyota Camry. Okay. I'm not getting an electric car though. I'm not getting a hybrid. I'm not getting a Prius. I'm gonna get a Camry. And it'll last me forever. Like there are
get a Honda Accord.
Or
those are good too.
Those are great too.
You could get a hybrid.
I have a couple of friends that have Honda Accords and they have like 200,000 miles on them. Now,
jeez,
they don't look they look a little bit old, but they last.
The new ones look all right.
Is your guy who gives you free oil changes and free window washer fluid, which is awesome?
Sells cars, yes.
Well, no, yes, obviously he sells cars. Does he sell Hondas? Or Toyotas?
They do not sell Toyotas. I know that.
Okay,
for a fact.
That's a great perk. That's a really good negotiation.
Yeah,
that's like when Billy Bean got free soda in his vending machine.
This guy, I felt like I had this guy teetering, and it was a Saturday. It was late in the afternoon. I think he just wanted to go home.
Yeah,
and he was like, and so I test drove a couple cars. I was always amazed that they just let you drive out of the dealership with a car. Didn't have to give a license, anything like that. The guy didn't know who I was, so yeah. I don't think he listens to this radio station. Still don't think he listens to the radio station. They just let me drive. He goes, come back when you want to. And I'm like, wow, you are really trustworthy. There must be something that gives off like, I'm not going to steal the car.
Sure.
But he's like, yeah, when you get back here, whenever. He goes, just let me know, but I'm leaving at 5.
Wait, he didn't sit in the car with you and do the whole
and that's when I relayed that story, because I came back in the next Monday after I bought the car and I said that. And people are like, they don't do that as much anymore.
I remember this.
But you have to give like your license and that kind of stuff. But in this case, he just said, "Hey, yeah." He goes, I'm out of here at 5. He goes, if you can be back by 5, he goes, that would be great. He goes, but you know what? You got some errands to run.
Yeah.
He goes, take it out on the highway, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, old shark.
So I had it for like 2 hours.
Really? Did you go to the cleaners?
You went to Lincoln.
Put about 170 miles on it.
Gee, doing what?
Where drove to Lincoln and back.
Why?
Because I wanted to see what it felt like when you get it up over 80.
Wow.
Plus, you go to Lincoln quite a bit, so you have to simulate it.
So here's what I pulled.
Sure. Okay.
So when I got in the car, it had like 35 miles. So I was very much a Richard for doing this, because all of a sudden it had 200 miles.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I like the style of the car, but that's not the color I want. I want that one.
So then you got a car that had less miles on it. I thought you said you were going to pull the Ferris Bueller, where you took the car like home and then you put it in reverse and the miles ticked back on the dash.
No.
So they didn't realize how many miles you drove? No. I appreciate the fact that you are very astute in your observations when you make big purchases, because this sounds very familiar to when you would go to hotels and sleep on mattresses to like make sure you purchase the right one.
That was about a 5-year journey to get the right mattress.
Mine was,
and then when I saw the sticker price, I was like, I guess that bed that has started in college with me and moved to Charleston, Wheeling, Fort Myers, back to Lincoln. Maybe the price has changed.
You had the same bed for all of those moves?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, the bed that I own will only be owned in Omaha. And probably when we move from apartment to apartment, I will have to buy a new bed. It's fixed, but the headboard.
Don't go cheap on a bed. That's great
did go
advice.
cheap on a bed.
No, I'm saying your next one. You
I
make your
know.
bed,
I can't go cheap on the next one.
Your back will thank you.
But my mattress is good. My mattress was of the highest quality, which is as to why you guys told me to do that. The bed frame was not.
Well, you're growing up before our very own eyes. All right. There are no guests this morning on the show. You are the guest, all of you lovely listeners. First time I've ever had a morning show. No guests.
Really?
Yeah, first time ever. So we've made it to the 12th of December, 2025, and the morning show not having a guest for 4 hours. So the guest is all of you. So enjoy. And if we had guests, they would be brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. So you're welcome. As you can see, the way that the show has started, everything is fair game today. Even with a busy, busy weekend of football, volleyball, basketball, maybe some hot stove league, anything else, hockey. Omaha's got a big series in North Dakota this weekend. So everything is fair game this morning to talk about. And we will talk certainly about all of that without pulling a Jimmy Rogers or a Todd Bowles this morning.
Which is what? Just blowing a big lead? Or saying 7 F-bombs in the press conference?
Yes. So let's go to Jimmy Rogers. He is the new football coach at Iowa State.
What?
Jimmy Rogers? Did he say the F-bomb?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So during the Iowa State basketball game last night,
okay.
Man, Iowa State rallied. Iowa has finally got their basketball coach right. Ben McCollum's a really good coach. So they were up by 13, and Iowa State quickly turns around, begin the second half to go on a 16-0 run. But during the game, they introduced the new football coach at Iowa State to the crowd. And, I think football coaches now, when they get the mic at a basketball game, they black out.
You got to be Signetti.
And they just go, like Signetti was planned, though. I'm sure he was standing in front of the mirror going, this is what I'm going to say. These are the benchmarks I got to hit. Like, I think Jimmy Rogers last night, he walks on the floor, and you got a short amount of time.
Yeah.
You got the mic, and you're just trying to rally people up. And he said, what did he say? Let's go beat the effing Hawks.
Yes.
And so people got all excited. Okay, and Iowa State did. So Iowa State,
like bad words.
That state that is across the river, not very far from the radio station, is a Iowa State state. Football, basketball.
Good point.
Men's and women's basketball, football, wrestling. They've all won. I think that's got to be one of the first times maybe ever that Iowa State has done that.
Sure.
So it is a Iowa State.
Party names, baby.
Yes, it is. And then Todd Bowles last night, he dropped 7 F-bombs in his postgame to match the losses that they've had this year, now at 7-7.
It was the Bowles F-bombs was a little egregious, like at a certain point where I like quality. I like quality over quantity. He just was kind of like whispering them a little bit, and they were just
that's
like
his personality, though.
Yeah,
like he's just very soft. He's a soft speaker who maybe he gets another year because of the injuries they've had. But the fact that you wake up this morning and Carolina's in first place in your division, they're not as strong. Like if you're like loud, but he's a light talker. So the F-bombs, they roll, but they probably don't have the same influence.
No, not at all.
But I think he probably said, you know what? We've lost 7 times. 2 awful losses back to back.
Terrible.
They were up 14 in a game where Atlanta committed 19 penalties.
Wow.
And Atlanta scores the last 15, and you had them at one time at 3rd and 28 and 4th and 14 before Atlanta rallies to kick a field goal. So back-to-back bad losses for Tampa Bay. Also against a team that was starting Kirk Cousins, had no Drake London, and had been eliminated from the playoffs the week before. So maybe he walked into the postgame and he said, all right, we're 7-7. I got to drop 7 F-bombs.
Well, okay, so they go up 28-14. There's like 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And the defense they were playing right after that drive was like the defense you would play if you're up 14, like with 2 minutes to go. Yeah. Like they let Atlanta score 2 minutes after they go up 14. And then it was a terrible interception by Baker. And then Kirk Cousins is in the pocket. Like happy feet, like he doesn't want to get hit, like he's scared for his life, like he's an old man, and yet they could get no pass rush. And then they were just running the ball with both running backs. Tampa Bay's toast. Tampa Bay is done. They were great to begin the year. Baker was awesome to begin the year. They've now gotten hurt. And it wasn't like they got hurt and then they like came back from all these injuries and they're like, hey, we're ready to go. They came back from these injuries and they have just let them kind of deteriorate their play. And that's what happens when you have an older team. Like this isn't like a younger team.
Oh, they're a fraud. They're a fraud. Their defense has not been
good.
I mean, they were fully loaded on offense last night. They had all their wide receivers back. They're an absolute fraud. But I've never been a big Todd Bowles fan.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he's a very good coach that was handed a gift working in that organization for that general manager. But it's, you'll have the debate this morning. Well, did Tampa Bay blow it or did Atlanta win it? Tampa Bay blew it. They had them 3rd and 28, 4th and 14, and let Atlanta convert.
They are a pressure team that is supposed to get to the quarterback, and they just did not get to the quarterback yesterday. And they let Kirk Cousins stand in the pocket with 10 toes down and fling the ball everywhere. And Kyle Pitts owners across the country are finally like, that's what I thought this would be. That's what I thought the Kyle Pitts experience would be.
Did you guys enjoy watching my future tight end in the Kansas City? Kyle Pitts.
Is that who you've targeted?
Well, he's going to be a free agent. So, look at this timing. Going into December, he has 11 catches, 166 yards, 3 scores, and he's got 73 catches, I think, this year, which is a career high. Now, he has been on the roller coaster since he's been in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he's going to get paid. He doesn't have to wear 87. He's not a fan of wearing that number. So, yes, if you enjoyed watching Kyle Pitts last night, maybe you'll enjoy watching him catching passes from Patrick Mahomes next year.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people don't recognize that he actually had a 1,000 receiving yard season already in his career. It's just the fact that he, much like a lot of prospects across just the NFL, even though that they've had pretty decent careers and they deserve to have second contracts, he hasn't lived up to his draft pick. I mean, he was the highest tight end ever drafted in league history. I think it'd be an awesome pickup for you guys. And also too, finally, I mean, Atlanta has had this weird thing too, Gary, where they just have these awesome offensive weapons over the last couple of seasons, and yet they refuse to use them or refuse to throw them the ball. Like London until 2 years ago was like that. Bijan Robinson until this year was a guy where it's like
Bijan had a bad post game.
I saw that he apologized, but I didn't see what he said.
This was, I don't know, you're not very far removed from Bijan Robinson's age. Did you ever play Smear the Blank in the backyard?
Yes. Can't say it anymore.
Smear.
Don't say it out loud.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
So he said that out loud last night on the Amazon postgame show.
Not good.
And then had to go back and apologize.
The only reason I know that game is because of Brock Lesnar, because I'm pretty sure he said it on the podcast and he got canceled as well. So. No,
the 90s were a different time.
Yeah, I never played that game.
Yeah, you didn't even.
You didn't even know what it meant.
That's the point. Is like we played it in my backyard, and
you
didn't know what the word meant.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's tough.
Bijan Robinson said it out loud. So people had a rough day with a mic in front of them yesterday that were involved in the game of football.
Wow.
I just wish. I mean, I'm fine with Bowles dropping F-bombs. I just wish that he slammed his fist down, or
like
just
Brian
yelled
Kelly.
it, or just said
Dennis Green. Dennis Green would be the one that, the late Dennis Green, if he would have gone that route.
Oh, big time.
More impactful. But he's a low talker. We all know people in our life that are either they like to stand close to you when they communicate with you or interact with you, or they are low talkers. And Todd Bowles is very much a low talker. He just has a very soft voice. He does not have, if you didn't know what he did and he was just like, saying, hello, my name is Todd Bowles, you'd be like, he's not a football coach. Because all football coaches are supposed to have this gravelly Ed Orgeron type voice, and they're supposed to be gruff, and they're supposed to drop F-bomb after F-bomb, and it just rolls off their tongue. Apparently, like Pete Golding at Ole Miss. People are already complaining this week that he is like just F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb.
That's the Bible Belt.
So Todd Bowles, football coach with an F-bomb, but it's a low F-bomb.
He was a dude when he played, so you wouldn't think that.
That'd be a fun game to play if, you go ahead, you put the picture of every NFL coach right in front of you, and you try and guess what their other job would be.
Oh yeah,
it'd be like a fun little.
Didn't Bustin' with the Boys do that? Or
somebody did that.
It's not that creative, and it's probably unoriginal. People have done it, but
It'd be funny.
Like Todd Bowles, I think would be like a teacher. He just looks like He just looks like a social studies teacher that is like your defensive coordinator. That is just like
very
wise.
wise.
You know, those guys were the best. They didn't really. They'd have a PowerPoint. They'd be like, guys, this is just from the book. They scroll through it. They tell you to read pages 77 to 93, and then be a free period.
So low energy, low talker football coach for Tampa Bay. That's now 7-7. Low energy broadcaster. You watched the game last night.
Yeah.
The game comes down to a last second field goal that Atlanta wins. It's time to move on from Al Michaels. He's had an incredible career. He's a Hall of Famer.
That bad.
But he's got no excitement.
Yeah.
They kicked the last second field goal in a game that was really, really odd. And nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. He treated it like it was like it was the middle of August in Canton with a field goal to win an exhibition game.
I think at this point he's a name. He's it's Al Michaels, and he's a legend. Don't get me wrong, he's a legend. But like we've been dealing with this the entirety of the season. Of just like
a couple of years. Well, since he's come back to
It's
doing games on a regular basis.
I thought that in the first half watching. Like
he's like David Justice at the end of like his career, where it's like, it's great for ticket sales in early April and May, but when you get to the dog days of
David Justice is your comp.
This is my.
I was thinking when the Royals signed Juan
Moneyball.
Gonzalez in
I'm
04.
quoting Moneyball. He's great for ticket sales. April and May, big name. But when we get to the dog days of week 15 in the NFL season and the already eliminated Atlanta Falcons are taking on the teetering Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, we're going to be lucky if we get any sort of volume out of him.
The
That's
Thursday night games have been hit or miss, but they've been much better on the field than the matchups.
Yes.
What they should do is what they did last night, because that was uniform pornography. Those two teams wearing those uniforms. They should treat every Thursday night game on Amazon as a throwback game.
Hell yeah.
See, I agree with
Now,
that.
there's an idea.
Because sometimes so it wasn't a great matchup. Now it turned into a crazy game at the end with a 1-point win. And then also there was, should we go for two or not conversation late in the game that Atlanta did. But you were probably drawn to it because it's the NFL and you're going to watch. But then you're like, oh, I like the uniforms.
Yeah.
Okay, I like throwbacks. I like that they're both wearing home uniforms. I think that's how they should treat Thursday night games from here on out.
I
Add
like
a nice little twist to
I
it.
think if the throwbacks would be nice. Did you like the color rushes back in the day?
No.
Okay. Growing up as a kid, I thought the color rushes were awesome. I thought they were super
That
cool.
Bills
like,
Jets
you
game
would.
that mess with people.
Well, yeah, because I was young. I was
Yeah.
like Seattle, and they're in their neon green. Like it's awesome. Like, oh my God, the Bears, like it's a different type of navy.
Didn't you see the Rams and the Chiefs wearing color rush?
Yeah, and you're like,
that was a hell of a game, though.
Hey, what? But I think
It
that's
was
the issue.
54-51.
That was one of the best games that you could have possibly had. Like one of the most memorable games in regular season in the last decade, and yet it's kind of marred by the fact of like they look like a Crayola box. Like there's also like Green Bay. Like that, like they had good color rushes, but then you had like Arizona,
Wait,
and
you
they
said
were
something nice about the Packers. You gonna be okay?
I
What's
think
going on?
I think Green Bay has
Are you
great
softening?
uniforms.
He's softening because he got some blowback yesterday for participation trophy bear guy.
Oh, yeah.
I got a
forgot
little
about that.
blowback because they're like, stop being a whiny little,
But I can't believe
He
you're
wants
not
his
supposed to-
noon game.
You're not supposed to say anything nice about the Packers.
The Packers uniforms are great.
Is Joey in here?
They're so nice. Like that now, and I hate it though. They're the team that probably goes to the different type of uniforms this season more than any. They do the ice whites or they do the throwbacks. Like, no, like wear your classic yellow pants with green jerseys with your yellow helmet. It's dope. Or wear your white or your yellow pants with white jerseys.
Like when the
it's
Steelers
awesome.
wear those
And yet
prisoner
they go
uniforms.
away from it. But I would rather, to answer your question, if they were to do different uniforms, do the throwbacks. Don't do these like new hip, like even the NBA's figuring it out that you shouldn't be making these brand new designs. You should just be going ahead and doing like Toronto's doing the throwbacks this year. Detroit's doing the throwbacks this year. Utah, it just seems like that's all they wear nowadays is like closer to what their throwbacks used to be. Like
They're not playing
people like nostalgia. People miss the 90s.
I
want
do.
a little
Yeah,
bit of
It was
that.
fun. It was young.
It's great.
All right. Creighton volleyball is 1 win from Kansas City. Nebraska is 2. Nebraska plays tonight against KU. There's a busy weekend of basketball. And, of course, Nebraska football never stops. With a hiring yesterday and maybe movement on another hire that is getting closer. It is defensive day in Lincoln today. Phil Snow speaks.
Really?
Yeah,
Is it the first time since he spoke like this time last year?
I think so.
Yeah.
Did he speak? He might have spoken the spring. He speak in the spring?
I don't.
He's
I don't
gonna
remember.
talk today.
If he did, it wasn't memorable. Honestly, out of all the assistants,
Hey, good job, Phil.
yeah, out of all the assistants that I remember speaking in the offseason, it was Donovan Raiola, who's since gone, and Terry Braden, who's since gone. Because Terry went down the line. Do you remember Terry went down the line and made sure everybody, he was like, everybody say who you are, what your name is. He was very nice. And then he never spoke to the media again. He never got to use the skill of remembering people's names.
He never spoke to a recruit either. All right. No guest today, no lineup for you. But we have lots of discussion. And maybe at some point this morning, we will get a court appearance from the guy that used to be the head football coach at Michigan. Cool. I told you yesterday, man, find some intellectual bandwidth to listen to people that have comments on this. We're all over the map. I think there's only one response to what happened at Michigan, but that's not how this works. All right, we're off and running. Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone. All right, have some compassion this morning. If you are in a business or you're with buddies that are heavy into fantasy football, it's becoming playoff time.
Yeah.
If they happen to have Kyle Pitts, that they are out on Kyle Pitts and they had him sitting on their bench, and they realize that after the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th catch, that maybe they should have played him last night, or you were playing against them, Godspeed.
45.2 points is what he had. The guy in my league played him, and he is the biggest crap talker in our entire league. We grew up with him. We've known him since he was 11. Tim Jennings is his name. Timmy is one of the best guys you'll ever meet. Like, everybody's got him. One of the best guys you'll ever meet, but he is the dude that no matter what, it'll be something terrible might have happened to you. Timmy will find a way to talk crap to you about it, okay? He will just give you – so he was in Group Me yesterday dropping all of the look at me, look at this, Ball So Hard University on their way to winning a title. He's also one of those guys where fantasy football is his life. Yeah. He's like a fantasy football coach, essentially. So he played him. It was unbearable last night in our fantasy football group chat. So screw Tim and screw Kyle Pitts.
I was laughing yesterday when I was listening to there was a great discussion about the thing that's going on in Michigan on Detroit radio yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get into an aspect that they talked about, but they were going through candidates, like legit candidates that are not like the obvious.
Yeah.
Tommy Rees.
Yeah.
You brought him up yesterday. I had to laugh because, he's what, the OC with the Browns, right?
Yes. He's the OC with the Browns. He was OC with Notre Dame when Drew Pine was there with Michael Mayer, and then Alabama. There
was they mentioned that if DeBoer, and I don't know why take the Michigan job. If DeBoer goes to Michigan, Ryan Grubb, his wife is a Michigan grad.
Oh,
so probably bring his OC with him.
Really? Because I think Alabama people would actually, for a year at least, wouldn't mind if Ryan Grubb was the head coach, because his addition, like when he first came in the offseason, people were very happy about it because he was a longtime guy with DeBoer. And then a lot of people were very happy with like how the Alabama offense was, especially early in the season going. I mean, if Alabama were to lose their head coach to Michigan, I think that would be a meltdown in Tuscaloosa. Tommy Rees, though, is the classic, like, he's super smart and people think very highly of him, but what he's done in terms of calling plays and like accomplishing things, that necessarily hasn't like reflected that. But in terms of like, you hear anybody talk about him, he is like the classic boy genius, like super, super well-talented, like offensive mind. So I think he will eventually be a head coach somewhere. I just think he needs to like have an insane season as an OC for that to be like merited.
I think just like Nebraska, Michigan is one of those jobs, and it's not just those two, but I'm going to make this comparison, that you have to want the job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can just throw like the block N, the M, or the skinny N on a polo and go like, hey, that's where I coach. Let's go out and do business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, previous head coach here, I didn't think he didn't want the job. He didn't want the job. And you have to want the job at a place like Nebraska to be successful. And I think Michigan is one of those places where you can't just, okay, I'm going to take it because it is Michigan. I think to be successful at Michigan, you have to want the job. Kenny Dillingham is a prime example. Like, Kenny Dillingham is a great candidate and a really, really good coach, still very, very young. So he's got time to explore whether run it at Arizona State as far as it can go to the NFL, come back to college, whatever he wants to do. But you have to want the Michigan job. It can't just be because he's the hot coach and he's young and man, you have to want that job to be successful. And I think there is a pretty good collection of those jobs in this country that it just can't be, oh, it's the best job available, so I'm going to take it. Like Matt Campbell. Did Matt Campbell want the Penn State job, or the phone call came at the right time?
Sure.
Because I don't think Penn State's a place where if you don't want the job, but you take the job, are you going to be as successful as they expect you to be?
Because it's more than just football. You have to deal with not only just the public media, right? But you have to deal with a passionate fan base. You have to deal with all the cameras that are local, all the writers that are local, and then like also all the national people as well that are having opinions on your job. And by the way, too, you start faltering in your job at Penn State, there are A blocks and B blocks on ESPN about who should replace you and who should take over your job. You go ahead and you're not doing well at Louisville, or you're not doing well at Virginia, or you're not doing well at Purdue, or you're not doing well at Northwestern. Nobody's taking time out of national TV to discuss how bad you're doing and like what are the other coaches that should be doing a better job.
Yeah, if the Nebraska job wasn't forced onto Frost and he instead pursued it on his own, now it became obvious that he was the guy. I wonder if he would have started off differently.
Well, I think that, like, if you look at Matt Rule, I think Matt Rule got really good training when he first got here in terms of, okay, hey, here are like some of the questions that you're going to be asked. Here are some of the people that are going to be asking you these questions. Here are the attitudes of the fans.
You're going at it from the media side. That's an interesting angle.
Because you go to and like Steve Sipple does a really good job of like mentioning this. Like you go to a Nebraska like open practice, or you go to a Nebraska press conference, like there are as many cameras and as many writers there as there are for National Football League teams, right? There are some of the biggest brands in sports that are getting similar coverage and similar attention, like from the media that Nebraska football is getting, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that there are some coaches who may not be fully aware of that. They might be aware, oh yeah, obviously passionate fan base. Oh yeah, like local media is really into it. But I don't think they're fully aware of like the attention that is like brought to the job, especially if you're not from here, or especially if you're not like in the Big Ten, especially if you're considered like an outsider, right? Coming from the NFL or coming from a different conference. And so I think that it's really weird to me.
Well, who creates the expectations? Is it the fan base, tradition, or media?
I think it's all three. Well, I think the tradition starts, like, it sets a foundation of what the fans expect. And I think the fan expectation then feeds into like how we cover from a media perspective, right? If the fans care a lot, the media is going to be, very critical and give a lot of information to the fans. If the fans don't really care, right? And I've seen it plenty, like, growing up where I grew up, writers kind of just, seem to write about what they want to write about, or what they think is important, or what they think is like, the top stories or the most interesting stories. And so I think it's a bit of a ladder that dictates those things. But it's funny to me that I thought Matt Rule was prepared for all of that, and he was an outsider, East Coast guy coming from Baylor in the NFL, and Scott Frost, probably more than anyone who's gotten the job, knew what to expect in terms of what the media attention will be and what the fan attention will be, and was not ready for it, and didn't even want to play the game, right? Like we've talked about this before. It was jarring when he goes ahead and in his introductory press conference, he says, "My family's off limits." Like, that is just not the tone that you set at all, at any job, regardless of the one where you're returning back to where you played and where you won a national championship. Like, and Matt Rule, he went in his press conference because I think he had really good training. And
I don't think these are comparison. I think their tools are different.
But I think I'm more so saying,
I'm not like a press conference.
Sure. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, you're right. If you want to have the job and you know what the expectations are and you know how to deal with it, then you're more likely to be successful than the people who don't want it. And I think that's, you got it. I also think, though, too, that there might be some coaches who just don't fully understand what else might come into those things if they're not familiar with what job they're taking.
Well, those are the people, like, if you want the job, you want the job, you vet the job before the job vets you.
Yeah, big time. But I think with like the Michigan job in particularly, like I think this coaching cycle has been very interesting, where I think more coaches have been aware of that. They've been more cognizant of it, because we've seen more and more coaches who are at jobs that you would consider worse than Penn State, or worse than Florida, or worse than the ones that have been open. And they've decided, no, I'm going to take a contract extension. No, I'm going to stay at Vanderbilt. I'm going to stay at Georgia Tech. I'm going to stay at Louisville. I'm going to stay here because I'm going to stay at BYU because I have a really good thing going here, and I'm winning a lot of games, and I'm getting paid a good amount of money, and there's no reason for me to go somewhere and deal with those expectations in this era of college football. I just think the difference between this Michigan job, and you mentioned it yesterday, was that there are some jobs where it's like, hey, it's Michigan. Hey, it's LSU. Like, hey, it's Bama. You just kind of deal with those things. And so it'll be interesting to see if Michigan ends up getting a guy who is already coaching right now and already has a ton of success and is a big name, or they have to, because of the current timeline, have to kind of get a guy that, is a DC or is an OC or is in the NFL.
Well, they just did that. They got an assistant coach that they promoted.
And it turned out terribly for him. And also, but
this actually worked out really well for Michigan. This is, Schefter went off the rails yesterday and what he said, but there probably is a little bit of truth to what he said. That Jim Harbaugh, they got what they want. They won a national championship. Was it worth it? I would say yes. They won a national championship at Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. They had a stranglehold on Ohio State. They won a national championship. And then everything that's come with it. So they're paying the price. But they knew that things were coming. Okay. Somebody was going to have to be the fall guy. And whether it was going to knock him out sooner or later, Sharon Moore was going to be that guy.
Yeah.
He was going to take one for the maize and blue. And then you're on to your next coach where you're like, all right, here we go. That's what I said yesterday. Probably you look around and privately you go, we're relieved. But there is, and there's going to be so much stuff that comes out about this as this unfolds. And Sharon Moore is in court today. Did losing to Ohio State, the year didn't go so well. Bryce Underwood didn't develop. And you're like, okay, I've seen enough 2 years in. Yeah, we beat Ohio State last year, beat Alabama in a bowl game. But man, this looks like it's trending in the right direction. What do we got? So you hear of boosters that were hiring private detective firms to dig up dirt.
Really?
So you're like, let's get rid of him now, and then let's go get our guy.
I mean, it would be very bad faith, if we're being honest, if they went ahead and they're like, oh, if you win this game, we're going to ignore you, obviously going against the athletic department policies here on something that clearly is fireable because they fired him over it. Like it would, and also it would be very
winning clouds up a lot of stuff. You could, yeah,
but
unfortunately, you can get away with a lot of stuff as long as you're winning. But once you don't win, then all that stuff comes back.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying I'm not disagreeing with that point at all. I'm just saying it'd be incredibly irresponsible for them to do that, and irresponsible for them to be like, oh, we're going to let the recruits all sign and we're going to let everybody be committed to this team, and then we're going to go ahead and make this decision.
That's the part that needs some further discussion. Is were they going to do this last week, and then they're like, nope, signing day is on the 2nd. We will wait. There's again. But as this goes along, more stuff comes out because they didn't order the code red until the 3rd investigation. So they have done their due diligence.
Sure.
Or they were searching just to find a little bit. And then it just turned into a very, very dark day where the former football coach is still in jail this morning.
I do think that I would be a fool to say that Ohio State might not have had anything to do with a code red being ordered or anything like that. Okay. Like I think if you know the business that it probably did have something to do with it. But I also do want to mention
like losing to Ohio State or Ohio State people.
No, losing to Ohio State. Okay. Like to what you were saying. But I also do think too, like it's not like he went 7-5. Like it's not like the Ohio State would have made him 8-4, whatever. Like he did go 9-3. Like they did have a very solid season. He did have a freshman quarterback.
2 straight years not in the playoff.
Yeah, but
Ohio State has won a national title, and now they're back as a 2 seed.
Well, look, last season, yes, they were 7-5, and they ended up having the 2 great games to end the year. But they also lost a ton from that team last year. They lost a lot of guys, and this year was supposed to be the kind of hey, they reloaded, they got some very talented guys, albeit a bit younger, and then they ended up winning 9 games. So I don't know if. I feel like to me, even though they're 9-3 and they have this freshman quarterback and they got a ton of talent and they're still recruiting at a high level, like I don't know if I'm leaning more so towards this was premeditated even before the Ohio State game.
I think it was premeditated when Harbaugh left and they hired Sharon Moore. They knew he was not going to be the long-term guy. It was just what would it be? Would it be the cheating scandal? Would it be Signalgate? Or would it be something else? I don't think in their own. Nobody could have forecasted this. Now, another question about this, and the young woman who is out there and everybody knows about her now, and she appears to be the one that came through with some more information the other day that was like, okay, this is it. It's not uncommon when coaches change for people in the office to get raises. Okay, if they are retained.
Yes.
That's part of the retainment. Be curious to know the timeline of when this relationship started, when her raises kicked in.
Sure.
Because I looked at her salary yesterday. Wow.
Gary,
Hello.
Gary, she
must have been doing a lot.
She went from $58,000 a year to $90,000 a year. That is almost a near 100% increase.
It's crazy in Michigan. But there was a really good discussion about how this is being covered by media that we'll get into a little bit later. All right. When we come back tonight down in Lincoln at the John on the Terry at the Bob, it is next to last night of something that is very, very unique to Nebraska athletics that we will discuss when we return. As Creighton is a win away from Kansas City, Nebraska is 2 away. And it's a battle of what is the better volleyball state, the state of Nebraska or the state of Kentucky?
Yeah. Huh? Well, Louisville and Kentucky, it's up. Creighton looked great yesterday. It was a big one.
All right, we'll get into that much more as we roll till 10 on 1620 The Zone. All right, if you missed the kickoff, the Week 15 of the NFL last night on the Zone, this is what you missed. Team that won the game They committed 19 penalties for 125 yards. They were down 28-14 in the fourth quarter. Then they scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, failed on both 2-point conversions. They were down 28-26. They faced a 3rd and 28, converted. They faced a 4th and 14, converted, and beat Tampa Bay 29-28. Let me introduce you to the Atlanta Falcons, who also in the game last night. Did you see the fumble?
Yes, I was going to say, like right before their second touchdown, how the hell did Tampa Bay not come up with that ball?
Yeah, there were 7 Tampa Bay defenders around the football, and they could not recover the fumble. What was it, 3 plays later? The Falcons scored a touchdown?
And here's another thing, too. I love how football is a very, like, tight rule. Like, you know, there's a lot of rules in football. There's a lot of, like, we almost have an answer for everything.
Yeah.
But when that ball is on the ground, okay, all hell breaks loose. We have 0 rules. You can just put your nose right in that pile. You put your hands there. You're shoving guys around. It's not until the slow referees who can't even move a fraction of the speed that all these players finally waddle up to the pile and start tapping people on the shoulder of like, hey, you got to get out. If you're not being tapped on the shoulder, the fact that you could just punch the ball and grab the ball and rip it's awesome. And so I love a fumble. There's nothing. I do. I love a fumble.
Like, why do you love a fumble?
Because it's just there's nothing like the ball comes out and you don't expect it, and everybody, if you're watching with friends, goes loose. Everybody screams loose, right? And then all these gladiator men just kind of pile up together, right? And then you're just waiting. There's like 9 guys on top of a pile, and you're waiting for one of them who can't see the football, okay, who isn't even in the pile. Point. Oh, we're going this.
You've
way.
never played football, have you?
No, but like
you don't understand what's at the bottom of that pile.
It's some of the worst things known to humanity.
No, but I'm saying from a viewing perspective, from a watching perspective, then one of the guys who's not in the pile starts pointing his direction, where he's like, "We got the ball, we got the ball." And if it's your guy pointing, you're like, "Oh my God, we got it! Oh my God!" And if it's not your ball, you're like, your heart sinks to your stomach. You're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we gave up a possession here." And then you're just waiting for the stripes to kind of like get on like one knee sometimes, and then they point in one direction. The like anticipation of like where the ball is, it's great. Yeah, I clearly did not play football.
This goes back to your Bears discussion yesterday. There'd be lots of fumbles.
Yes. The thrill of the like, because an interception just happens, and then it's like you get that one moment. The fumble has like, it's got a little theater to it. It's got a little build up to it. It's got a like, holy crap, like who's got it? Okay. Yeah, I know you're smiling because you know that I've never been at the bottom of the pile. The bottom of that pile is probably the most disgusting thing. It's probably where a ton of injury happens. I know it's like you got probably 2 tons on guys' backs trying to grab a pigskin. But from the 5'10", 190-pound guy who's watching on his TV screen, fumbles are sick. Fumbles are awesome.
Nice NARP conversation.
It is a NARP conversation. I have a lot of NARP conversations because I am a NARP. I am, except for when you put me on skates. When you put me on skates, I was pretty good. When you put me on grass, I couldn't. I don't think I've ever run under a 5:40 in my life.
You know what? I need to run. I think I'm in better shape than I've been in a long time. Maybe I ought to try the 40.
Should we race?
No. You'd beat me.
See, I think you should just stick to your peaceful walks.
I think your walks work.
No. I know. But I would like to run the 40 because I know what I used to run the 40 in.
What did you used to run the 40 in?
It was not 5.4.
Okay.
I ran the 40 like a lineman. That was back in the day where linemen weren't fast.
I think you could, if we put the over under at like 6.5 seconds.
I couldn't just like go outside right now and run the 40 and do that.
Sure. Neither could I. We
kind of chilly too.
Because Rich Eisen, he actually puts in a little bit of work before he shows up the combine and runs his 40.
You ever watch the Barstool Sports when they do the combines and stuff like that? Like that's kind of their big thing.
Only if Frank the Tank was involved.
So
I watch.
I don't know if he was involved last year actually, but they did it. The OG one, they did it with Todd McShay. And they brought Todd out, and they had like Todd actually like grade them and like determine whether or not they were athletic. It's very funny. We should do 1620 zone the combine.
Well, we had it. I don't know if you were working here yet.
That's before me.
Yeah, I think we had it set up. We had a bunch of different games. No, you might have been here. Didn't we discuss about a field goal kicking competition?
We discussed a home run derby.
Okay, I think we had
These are all good ideas.
We had a whole thing that we were going to participate. But then it became, well, person X wouldn't want to do it. You wouldn't want to do it. And then it just kind of failed.
I would want it. I would definitely want to do it. I think I'd have it if we did like a whole bench press, three cone drill, 40-yard dash. You do the one where you're running and you're catching.
They're going to make you sign a waiver.
So you've got a lot of irrational confidence. Like Happer does too, but Happer knows okay, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do that. I'm still the one thing I would be worried about is I've never pulled a muscle before.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And now I've strained and I've sprained, but I've never pulled. And so I would be worried about this. This would be very Matt McMaster if the first time I legitimately pulled a muscle,
your hamstring,
yes, or like pop my groin or something like that, would be like in front of a camera, in front of a bunch of people. So I would be nervous about that.
Then you open up endorsement possibilities.
But I think I would.
Yeah,
I think I would. I could probably run like a 5.4 40 right now. And I could bench press, not as much as I used to, but I could.
What would be the number?
My max bench press ever was 215 for 3. So which is probably like I could have done 225 one time. I think right now I could probably do 185 for 8, like 185, 190.
I don't put some money on this.
No,
can we wager on this?
Because it's been a while.
Okay.
Truth be told, I haven't worked out nearly as much as I would like recently. So no, if I would not put money on this.
Creighton is back in action tomorrow in basketball downtown. 2:00 against Kansas State. But Creighton volleyball plays a much more important event in Lexington, Kentucky at 4:00. Do you think that they will keep the doors open and put the volleyball match on the screens on that beautiful brand new scoreboard?
That's a good idea.
They should.
The Chai.
Absolutely, they should. It
Now,
would be a historic event if they ended up winning that game. If Creighton won.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they should. Absolutely, they should put that on there. They played really well yesterday. I mean, that first set was awesome. It was super competitive. They kind of got dominated in the second set, and then Brian Rosen had him up and moving in the third and fourth set, where Arizona State scored 31 points in the next 2 sets for them to go on and win. So yeah, absolutely, they should put that on.
That's you got connections there. You could move it along to see if they will keep it open. Now, problem is, it could go a while. So they start at 4. I would think that as people are filtering out of the arena, they will put it on.
What connections do you think I have that I could make a call to keep the game going at the Chai?
You were in that building more recent than I am. Sure, you made a connection.
No, I haven't.
John? You could text John Bishop.
I actually only know the elevator person. I don't even know his name, but he's an older man and he's got a Nebraska lunch sack. And he eats his dinner out of the Nebraska lunch sack.
Whoa, how is he still employed there?
I think he's like not a Creighton employee, right? He's just an employee of the security.
Mecca.
Yeah, he's a Mecca employee. So he does not, that guy, he's living my dream. He's older. He gives no Fs. I mean, that is his elevator. That is his domain. When you step into that freight thing, you are in his office. You are in his area. And so you go where he wants to go. So I don't know his name. I like him a lot, though. No, I couldn't make a call.
Couldn't they do like the last second? Now, they'd have to keep like a concession stand open. They'd have to make some money. But Mecca likes to get people out of their venues pretty quick.
They do.
So they can get the people off the clock. Well, let's see. So that starts at 4. I would think that Kentucky Creighton could go a while. Kentucky, I think, has swept everybody.
Wow.
Creighton won in 4 yesterday. That feels like a 5-setter in Lexington, where the announcers yesterday in the Creighton Arizona State match.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. There was like low energy. Energy. And I think it's a low energy building because it looks kind of cool the way it's set up, but the fans are so far away from the floor.
They are.
And also, why are we? I know we want it on TV, and it's better than the opening weekend of college volleyball where everything's on Plus. And so now we have it on the family of networks that are not Plus. Afternoon Sweet 16 volleyball.
Yeah.
Even when Kentucky played right afterwards, it was a much better crowd, but it still wasn't like enormous. And then watching Pitt last night against Minnesota, there wasn't a huge crowd.
So 12 o'clock.
But that was a little bit at night. But playing Sweet 16 NCAA Division I volleyball in the afternoon.
Well, another thing too, Gary, does 12 o'clock on ESPN2 really scream, hey, let's grow the game? Like it just, I mean, what are they playing on the main network?
Well, McAfee.
McAfee's on at 12.
They're not touching McAfee.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, I any TV coverage is a benefit.
Sure.
I'm just the afternoon part.
Yeah.
Like starting straight up at noon.
It was funny when they kept showing I know you know his name. I don't know his name. The head coach of Kentucky.
Craig Skinner.
Yeah.
Off the John Cook coaching tree.
They kept showing, shots of him like prepping
Funny
for the
guy.
game. But they kept showing him after every commercial break. And I was like, it kept looking like they were at like a volleyball tournament. Like they were at like a travel tournament with just like how they were like kept showing the coaches, where I would have preferred if they had like more features on players or more stories on players or more like close-ups on players. I don't know. It was
more on the mid-major program they referred to that plays in the Big East.
Yes.
Mid-major program.
They're not a mid-major program.
Yeah.
They don't play like
they feel like they belong. I mean, they look like they belong. They do belong. They do playing in the Elite Eight. So whatever you can do, pull some strings. Maybe people can stick around after Creighton, Kansas State basketball and watch Creighton, Kentucky volleyball.
The only place I could pull some strings are maybe a couple of pubs across the Chicagoland and Omaha metropolitan area. I'm not going to be able to pull any strings when it comes to the Chai. I just sit up in the hockey press box.
Are you doing your show from there? Why don't you do your the call-in show from the Chai?
The Blue Jay Overtime?
Yeah.
I could. I feel like there's part of me that is like, I just feel like something would go wrong if we tried setting it up there. And like, I'm very afraid of things going wrong.
Like your computer would run out of power or what?
Yes. That or
this thing called the power cord.
Or the tie line wouldn't work or the connection.
No, you
wouldn't
could
work.
do it. Well, you could do it via what we do with StreamYard.
I'd probably just prefer to do it here. I go to the first half. I watch the first half. I get out of that parking lot real nice and clean. Come back here. I watch the rest of the game with Joey.
What do we think the spread will be for tomorrow? Because Nebraska will probably be a 7, 8, 9 point underdog at Illinois. That game starts at 3. Creighton, Kansas State starts at 2. Creighton probably 5-point favorite, maybe in that range.
I was gonna say 3.5 to 4.5, but we're probably in the same area. I would say so. Yeah.
Yesterday, the top 10 finalists were announced for the Heisman Trophy. It's okay. Everybody should apologize to Emmett Johnson for being 7-5. It's not Emmett's fault that they're 7-5, but 7-5 got Emmett not in the top 10. I was a little bit surprised, but he was not the one that I was most surprised about.
Who was the one you're
Marcel Reed.
Where was he?
He was not in the top 10.
Yeah, how?
I was kind of surprised that Marcel Reed did not get into the top 10. So these are the top 10. Now the 4 are in New York City. Mendoza, Sayin, Love, and Diego. Jacob Rodriguez.
Cool.
Jeremiah Smith.
Yep.
Gunnar Stockton.
Awesome.
Trinidad Chambliss. Caleb Downs, and Haynes King. Now Georgia Tech went 9-3. So record matters.
Yeah.
And 7-5, even though Emmett is getting a lot of his flowers, 7-5 does come up. But no Marcel Reed.
Trinidad over Marcel
Reed is in the playoff. And now Chambliss is in the playoff. Haynes King is not.
It's incredible how, what have you done for me lately? That's just kind of what, I mean, that's just like Texas A&M has not played close to their best football. And Marcel Reed hasn't played his best football over the last couple of weeks. But I would say through the first 8 weeks of the season, we were targeting 5 teams that could potentially win the national championship, and A&M was for sure one of them. And until they lost to Texas, and granted, he had a bad game against Texas, but until they lost to Texas, I don't think people were really like off of that. And then they lose to Texas, and then they struggle. Like they don't look as good in the last couple of weeks of the season. We're immediately off of them. And Reed too. Reed was a guy where he very much was in contention in the Heisman Trophy betting, right, all the way up through 10 weeks. So yeah, that's pretty surprising to me. He's not considered a top 10 guy. King though, I get it. Gunnar Stockton.
I don't get Haynes King.
You don't get Haynes King
over Marcel Reed?
I think that people are.
Sounds like there's some SEC bias there.
I think the
voters out there.
I think there's like a running quarterback bias, and I think there's like a football player bias, and I think a lot of people are in love with how Haynes King plays football and how he uses his feet and how he uses his body and he puts his shoulder down, he puts his head down, and I think that in the era of college football where it's like a lot about brands and money and transferring and everything like that, we're more infatuated with a Georgia Tech quarterback who plays the style that he does, that he gets in the top 10 of the Heisman voting.
Do we know what Johnny or Rozier will wear tomorrow night? because all three Nebraska Heisman Trophy finalists have started to become regulars.
Well,
they stand in the background, and always Mike is dressed to a T. Johnny looks great. Crouch is, whether he has a beard or not, will be there.
Mike will probably have a hat on.
Yes.
Not probably. He will have a hat on. Johnny will probably have like a 3-piece suit. Nice 3-piecer from Johnny. I don't know what I think Eric will probably go with a more classic, blue shirt, blue tie.
My favorite Heisman Trophy winner of all time that is not connected locally will not be there because he'll be getting ready for a game this weekend against the Ravens. Joe Burrow.
Okay. That's your favorite Heisman Trophy winner of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you definitely would have a
back in the day.
Well, like a growing up. Like everybody's got a growing up Heisman Trophy guy.
I mean, Chuck Long was a guy that I I followed because I was a Hawkeye fan when I was that age. And I had a 16 jersey. I was Chuck Long in the backfield, in the backyard. And my buddy Jim Langan was Ronnie Harmon.
Mine was RG3. Now, RG3 definitely hasn't done as an adult. I'm not the
You're not going to wear the hat?
No, I'm not. I'm not the biggest fan of croissant eating RG3 and, getting in beefs with Ryan Clark RG3 and corny RG3.
By the way, he's very upset. He thinks Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech should win the Heisman.
Should win it is a stretch, but if Jacob Rodriguez was in New York, I wouldn't have any quarrel with it.
I'd put Caleb Downs in New York ahead of Jacob Rodriguez. I think Caleb Downs affects a football game more than Jacob Rodriguez. And that's saying a lot because Jacob Rodriguez has dominated the entire season at Texas Tech. There will be a discussion, and they have 4 that are in New York City. You only vote for 3. I wonder if they will revisit in the offseason if they allow you to vote for 5.
Yeah,
because it has been only vote for 3, maybe forever, but there were enough candidates that you could have stretched it to 5.
Oh, God, yeah.
But there's a lock for this. This is going to be anticlimactic when ESPN gets after their hour-long show and they get to the end and they go, okay, now the Heisman.
I think when it comes to Ohio State, just candidates in general, they're awesome. Like Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, I think you could have put them both in New York, honestly. And I don't think I would have blinked an eye because I'm like, these are awesome football players.
They have 3 of the top 10 guys.
I just think to a certain extent, Gary, it's just like those guys, Smith and Downs, they're a little bit, I think victims is for a lack of a better term, they're victims of playing at Ohio State because people look at Ohio State, they're like, oh my God, they got so many great players around them. It's so much easier to play at Ohio State than anywhere else. Like Jacob Rodriguez, if he was playing with the offensive line that he had in front of him, and if Casey Concepcion was running with Cardinal Tate to the left of him, we would sure think that. Like I think that's part of the reason why you got a guy like Caleb Downs, 7th, who's probably the best player in college football.
I'm with you on that because if Ohio State would have won on Saturday night and Sayin beats Mendoza, I think the guy from Vanderbilt wins the Heisman.
Diego?
Yep. It wouldn't have been, hey, whoever wins the Big Ten game wins the Heisman.
Well,
Mendoza happened to win the Big Ten game and also has had many Heisman moments. But I think if Sayin, kind of along your points, and I agree with you, the guy from Vanderbilt would have probably got enough votes to win, even though Sayin would have just won the Big Ten championship against a fellow Heisman finalist.
I think you're right if you flip the performances, right? Because Mendoza was incredible. And he threw, Fernando, like we talked a lot about after that game about Signetti and about the turnaround and about like everything that led up to that point. I think, and I don't think you and I failed to, but I think a lot of like the mainstream failed to talk about the fact that Fernando threw some seeds. He threw some balls. Like he was accurate. I mean, that 3rd and 6 ball was awesome. There were multiple times he was throwing it through, like he threw a flag route to the corner, like in the second half. And I was like, oh my God. Like he was balling. If you flip the performances of Sayin and Mendoza, where Sayin looked terrible, Mendoza looked terrible, yeah, you probably have a closer discussion of like who, we're probably entering New York being like, I wonder who the Heisman Trophy is going to be. And I think Diego would probably be the favorite, but I don't think he would be like a minus 400. I think he'd probably be closer to like a minus 130, minus 120.
Colin asked, did your buddy who wanted to be Ronnie Harmon fumble all the time in the backyard game? No, he held onto the ball more. Broke my heart. Ronnie Harmon in the Rose Bowl, thought the game was fixed. He started to fumble in that 85.
Buffalo fans think of him for similar light. Not a
How
fumble.
That's when bowl games used to matter, where our opinion on a player changed. Irving Fryer.
Yeah.
Ronnie Harmon. Great regular seasons, great careers. They have one bad bowl game. That's when
Shane
bowl games matter.
Falco.
Now somebody has a bad bowl game that is not a playoff game, and you're like, okay.
When was the last bowl game to really like matter between the non-national? Like that would be I don't know. I feel like the last one that I really remember was the Stanford Iowa Rose Bowl.
Because of what McCaffrey did to Iowa?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And but how good that game was. It was an incredible game. It was a classic. People to this day, whether you're
Really?
It was a really good game. It was a high-scoring game.
I thought it was a blowout.
No, I
thought it was just a game.
Yeah, it was 45-16.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I misremembered.
It was close in the first quarter.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm misremembering it, but regardless of it, I just, for whatever reason, I remember that being like that's the one, like you think of like when non-national championship, like, hey, this is a really big bowl game that doesn't decide who's hanging that big banner. That was the one I remember. I don't know why I remember that being a close game. Maybe it was close in the first game.
If you follow Bussin' with the Boys, Ed Orgeron is on the bus this week. And so he tells, there's 3 great stories. Well, there's the whole thing is nothing but his recruiting stories. One, when he daps up Will Compton, he goes, how about our boy Eckler? He goes, he is doing great. Love him. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I don't know that Orgeron has a connection to Eckler. Maybe they've crossed paths, but I don't believe they've ever been in the same place at the same time on staffs. But that's one of the first things he says to Will Compton is, how about our boy Eckler? And then a lot of Orgeron's appearance, again, great recruiting stories from Reggie Bush to Pete Carroll hiring him at USC. But he talks about Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And before Burrow got to Baton Rouge on his visit, Bill Bush was the first person to say to Orgeron, this guy can play. If you get him here, we will go to the playoff.
Really?
Yeah. And so Orgeron tells the story about Joe Burrow got there, and he said, first thing he said to Orgeron, he goes, I don't want to talk to you, and I want to eat crawfish.
Well,
Orgeron never saw film of Joe Burrow.
That's really?
Nope, he never saw a film of him.
Wild.
He just relied on his coaches to say, yeah, this guy can play. And then there were other coaches say, if you get this guy, we're going to win a championship. But Joe Burrow, when he was leaving Ohio State, everybody at LSU, and this is Orgeron telling the story, he said, everybody in our office thought he was going to Cincinnati because his girlfriend was going to Cincinnati.
Really? Wow.
So we all thought he was going to go to Cincinnati, and we were going to have him on a visit. Didn't know if we would get him because everybody was convinced he was going to go to Cincinnati. Showed up at LSU, and I guess Orgeron right away, once he met him, he's like, we got to get this guy.
Yeah.
And then everybody was like, Coach, you got to get this guy. You got to get this guy. But he talks about they went to a restaurant, and
it's a great one.
Orgeron, they're going to get him crawfish. And the restaurant they went to didn't have any crawfish. And so I guess it was the director of football operations at LSU came up and told Orgeron on the side, he goes, hey, we're in trouble here. So Orgeron made a call to a restaurant, and he said, hey, can you get us crawfish? Can you bring it in? Can you bring it in the back door, put it on the plate of this restaurant, and then serve it? And they did exactly that 30 minutes later. And so they sat there and they ate with the Burrows. And as it went along, like Burrow, after he left, thought about it. He was like, LSU is the place for me. Now, he also has a UCF reference. And when they get people on the bus and they let them just tell stories. But Orgeron is such a great storyteller.
He is.
He goes into this because they were asking him, when did you know that Joe Burrow, because his first year at LSU wasn't the greatest, but he's got all this talent around him. Now it wasn't bad, but it wasn't even close to what he was in 19. He goes, we were playing UCF, and UCF was beating us in the first half.
Yeah.
And he said there was a guy that blindsided Burrow, and he stood over him, and then he spit on him. And he said, Joe jumped up, and he said, I'm not coming out of the game. And Orgeron rallied the troops, and they never lost again. He never lost a football game at LSU after that. So it's well worth it. But there's a couple of Nebraska connections in there. They never did bring up that Burrow, dad, brother, Nebraska, all of that. The only references were Bill Bush recommending Ed Orgeron that Burrow's the guy, and that Ed Orgeron loves Mike Eckler. Can you imagine Orgeron and Eckler on the same staff?
So they were. So
they were?
I just looked this up. 2013, Eckler was at USC. Orgeron was at USC. And so that was the year that Orgeron ended up becoming the interim head coach at USC.
So that's the connection.
So that's their connection.
Wow.
So can I add to that story about the D lineman hitting Joe Burrow? That D lineman, his name was Joey Connors. Joey Connors, and that was a team that was coached by Scott Frost. Joey Connors was a coach at the University of Nebraska. He was a quality control coach and the interim special teams coach for the University of Nebraska under Scott Frost. So Connors was the one who hit Burrow. And the only reason why I know this is because I had a friend who worked on the staff with Scott Frost, and he was working with Joey Connors, and he was like, yeah, we joke around. He's the guy who made Joe Burrow because he's the one who made that hit and did all the things, and then he ended up being on Nebraska staff. So that's another Nebraska connection in that story. So do you know what Ed Orgeron's nickname for the son is? Ray Baker. He just is like, yeah, I was just running with my guy, Ray Baker. And they were like, oh, who's Ray Baker? He's like, he's the son, bakes your ass. That's his story. Also, too, a part of that, so he tells that story about the crawfish on Joe Burrow actually told that story about the crawfish on Pardon My Take. And I don't know if this is factual, but it was a pager involved. It wasn't like a call. It was like a pager. Like he paged his crawfish guy. So Ed O, man, what a guy. Yeah. What a coach. He should get back into coaching. He should be like a DC or a special teams
got a chance to go to LSU.
No, I don't think that would work out.
Why not? Go back to LSU, work for Kiffin?
Oh, work for Kiffin. Oh, I thought you were saying
no, that's like been discussed.
I've already jumped ahead to the scenario where Lane Kiffin goes to Alabama after Kellen DeBoer ends up going to Michigan. That's why I said no, that wouldn't work out.
Elijah Robinson will not be going to LSU, according to LSU people.
Okay.
They have started to interview other defensive line candidates. So Elijah Robinson has Syracuse, Penn State, and it appears Nebraska. Maybe not even Syracuse, because I think Syracuse already hired a DC and a defensive line coach. So it might be Texas A&M, Penn State, Nebraska, or it may just be Penn State, Nebraska for his services.
So this was tweeted out 2 days ago. Syracuse is expected to hire Georgia State's Jeremy Hawkins as defensive line coach. So that was tweeted out from a Syracuse account. So I think Syracuse is out of the running as well.
All right. So that's still a possibility. As Nebraska is still in search of a defensive line coach. They got an edge coach. What does that mean for Philip Simpson? There'll be discussion on defense down in Lincoln today. That's coming up a little bit later this morning. More discussion on this program as we roll till 10 on a Football Friday Fiesta on 1620 The Zone. Did you guys hear about John Rothstein yesterday? Covers college basketball
Yes.
for CBS.
I was wondering
What
when
did
you get to
John?
that.
Oh yes, I did see something that he said.
I thought you'd be all over that.
Well,
It's coming.
I guess I'll reveal it. He said that if Nebraska ends up winning their first NCAA tournament game, that he's going to go to Lincoln and have an open tab for people, which I immediately thought, what bar is he going to go to? If it's at McKinney's, I will be there and be square. If it's at like Gate 25, I might come in for a beer or two or something.
If
like
it's
that.
free.
Yeah, if it's free, it's for me.
No, that's true.
I don't care if it's a
people
dive
ask me what's
bar.
my favorite beer, and my number one answer is always free beer. Free beer is the best beer.
With John Rothstein.
Followed up by the cold beer, followed up by the third beer.
So yes, on his show, he's become a big fan of Nebraska. He said if Nebraska wins their first tournament game, he'll come to Lincoln and he'll have a happy hour on me.
Mhm. That's a hell of an idea.
That'd be a lot of money.
So it's on
his
his
money,
show.
though.
He didn't tweet it out. I don't think he tweeted it out, but it's on his show. So if he would have tweeted it out, it would be bookmarked by so many Nebraska. Oh no, here it is.
Yeah.
So I will fly to Lincoln and throw a happy hour for Nebraska fans if the Huskers win a game in the 2026 tournament. 76 replies. I can't see how many bookmarks there are, but a lot of people will be keeping that receipt, and I'm sure that he will. He needs to work on his Q rating in the state.
Sure.
Like local media can't stand him. I've never met him.
Mhm.
He's just very enthusiastic about basketball. His a friend of mine is one of his best friends and says, "Oh man, you got to give John a chance. He might be a little quirky, but he loves basketball. He loves talking basketball, man. He loves to sleep in May." And I'm like, not everything is palpable. Okay. I don't need to hear about TSA and Clear being life-changing. Okay. And I'm not going to wait until May to sleep. I might sleep a lot this weekend. Okay. Because I got no basketball game. All right.
What do you have against TSA and Clear?
No, that he has both.
Oh,
and so
does
every
he?
time he flies,
That's ridiculous.
that's the tweet that he sends out.
That's overkill. That's insane. See, I like people who are passionate about what they do. Like that's just a very easy way for me to like you.
He has that.
He overdoes it a little bit. Like there's a part of me. It's like you don't need to know. Do you ever seen it where they do the whole they give like random ass schools and he names every single coach from that school. Like it's crazy how much he like is just all about college. Like to me, a part of me is like, John,
I think that's great though. He covers the sport. He should know the sport.
No, but like you're telling me, Mary Seat of the Blinds head coach and the fact that they were an
does.
assistant over at UTEP before they took that job.
He does.
He likes basketball a lot.
Watch a TV series or just take a break or
White Shadow. He could watch that.
Also, too, I think the best bit though of John Rothstein is the fact that there's something terrible happening like on Twitter or like a very awful thing might occur, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, Old Dominion is actually scheduling to go and play at Ole Miss on November 18th against the Rep." It's like, hey, John, there's some things going on here.
So he does that. So he did that when the Michigan news came out. He tweeted like Yale somebody standalone game, and people are like, John, have you seen what's going on in Ann Arbor?
I think there is
that says he spews positivity.
He's got a lot of like local media, like that cover Creighton and Nebraska basketball blocked.
Wow,
really?
I mean,
I've never met him. We've had him on a couple of times. I love his passion. He does do this. So Jordan was telling me, and Jordan and him are tight. Sarnoff, who's over at Omaha, he said John Rothstein wakes up in the morning and he texts like 20 coaches. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? You got anything new?
Crazy.
Yeah, that's how he starts his day.
Good.
So he gets up and he fires off 20 texts, either to the same coaches or random coaches, just to check in to see what's going on, and then that like starts his day.
So
I should start texting you.
His day may be starting in Lincoln in probably April.
Mm-hmm.
Stop in April and have a happy hour. It'd be great PR for him. It would also mean good things for Nebraska that they had won a NCAA basketball game.
There's a Substack called Front Porch Sports that has an entire article that is dedicated to mapping out all of the untimely Rothstein tweets of like the day, what happened that day and what did he tweet. So election night 2016, he tweeted out at 11:45 p.m., which we were wrapping up at this point. The election night, he tweets out, JUCO guard Corinthian Ramsey has committed to Nicholls State per a source.
That's a big deal for that kid.
There's
Good for him.
There's the Jeffrey Epstein found dead August 2019. Joe Dooley will bring 11 new players next season to East Carolina. Have never heard of a coach bringing in more than 8 or 9 in a single recruiting class. The epitome of flipping a roster.
National champion Joe Dooley.
Here's a Roe v. Wade overturned 2023 national title odds. Gonzaga plus 850, Houston plus 850, North Carolina plus 1100.
So hold on here. So we gotta line these up again with Castellanos.
Yeah,
and the things that he has done. Has Castellanos had a moment, and Rothstein tweeted on the same day, that is not about college. Well, not in the season about college basketball, because this would all be summertime.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I'm on a Nick Castellanos bad timeline rating. I think Castellanos, the difference between Castellanos and Rothstein is that Castellanos has a lot to do with what's going on in the booth, right?
Yeah.
So at times, and it's less to do with like the significance of the day at times. See, like,
no. Like the only time that he had something was Tom Brenneman.
There was another time too. He was doing like a minor league stint, and the guy was talking about his father sadly passing away, and Castellanos was up to bat. And while the guy was kind of giving a memoriam to his father, he hit a home run, which was very funny. I'm trying to find here. Oh, did they both tweet out something when Biden dropped out in 2024? See, I can't. I would have to do this during the break. But there's a lot of, like, Queen Elizabeth's death. UC Santa Barbara Zach Harvey has been fully cleared for all basketball-related activities, per Joe Pasternak.
Good for him.
The best part about these is that they're not about, like, North Carolina or Kentucky or Duke. They're about, like, just very, like, mid-major
UC
colleges
Santa
that
Cruz.
not a lot of people, like, really care about. Like, Mar-a-Lago was rated in August of 2022. He was tweeting about Drew Valentine and the fact that he... that Loyola Chicago's Drew Valentine has hired former Cincinnati big man Kyle Washington as video coordinator. That one is targeted. That one for sure. You're telling
that big of a day when Mar-a-Lago was rated?
But you're telling me that you got to tweet out about Loyola Chicago hiring a video coordinator? Like,
it's a big deal for that kid.
No, I think Mar-a-Lago got rated, and he thought, okay, I need to send a tweet out right now. Like to continue the meme going. And so he found, like,
was he active in 2001?
He went ahead and probably like went through a bunch of pages of like basketball teams and what they've done. He found that Loyola Chicago hired a video coordinator. He's cherry picked. Castellanos isn't cherry picked. Castellanos just gets bombs.
Yes, he does. So if John Rothstein is in April in Lincoln, that means good things.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could just be here in April. Maybe he could just trolls and he just comes in April and just has a couple of drinks. It's like, hey, sorry, I'd be buying you guys drinks if you want a NCAA.
That'd be a Richard Head thing.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
I wouldn't say nice things about him.
Why would he do that?
It would be funny.
How would it be funny? To the Nebraska fan?
It'd just be a troll. Trolling is funny nowadays.
In-person trolling, I don't think happens.
It probably wouldn't be funny.
No, it would not be funny.
It wouldn't be funny.
It would be no, because we've crossed the barrier of tournament team, win a game.
We have crossed that barrier.
Because there are bracketologists that this morning have Nebraska as high as a 5 seed on the 12th of December.
Yeah.
Now, the team they're playing tomorrow in Champaign is a 3 seed, who this will be the most difficult, or this will be the best offense that Nebraska has gone against. So, Nate Lesnar, get your sleep in, get your scouting report out. But there is the part of, like, the way Nebraska's on a heater is I'm not dreading the game in Champaign. I'm, like, intrigued on how Nebraska approaches this game. Now, it could be Nebraska gets the belt to the ass, because when things get going sideways there, it can. Oh, yeah. Illinois can go on major runs. But I'm not dreading the game. Like, gosh, this is good. Chalk it up. They're already. I'm like, all right, here's another thing of a great week that now you go and you're already 1-0 and find out what's going to happen. And there's 2 things that happen tomorrow in college basketball in this state. One, if by chance Nebraska as a underdog on the road wins the game, they're 13-0 on New Year's Eve.
That's a great stat.
They'll be
heading into New
They'll be
Year's Eve,
13-0 on,
sure.
on New Year's Eve because they have 2 non-conference games left, North Dakota and New Hampshire.
Wild.
Okay, if they win tomorrow, they're 13-0 when Dick Clark drops the ball. And they're probably sliding up to a 4 seed with January, February, and March to play. Think about that if they win tomorrow. Now, even if they lose tomorrow, they're not going to suffer greatly. I mean, they're still probably going to be 12-1,
Mhm.
but they could be unbeaten. They could be
wild.
unbeaten and have, a 17-game winning streak. Now, on the other side, for Creighton, who needs something on the resume, or at this point, maybe you don't want to talk about the resume. You're just like, well, you got to do work in the Big East. This is how things could change with Creighton. And I think they're going to be a 4 or 5 point favorite against Kansas State tomorrow. And, Kansas State fans are like, go Creighton, beat our team. We need to get rid of our head coach. If you lose, it's panic time. And I would push the button until it's broken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is how things change from Creighton's perspective. If you win tomorrow, and I think Creighton's got a good chance to win tomorrow, I think they'll bounce back. They've had a whole week. If they don't bounce back, panic time.
Panic. Oh, big time.
Have fun on your overtime show.
Thank you.
But if they win tomorrow, they have a chance before the first of the year to run off 5 straight wins. They go to Cincinnati midweek. That's going to be tough, but it'll be a tight game. Then they come home from Marquette. Then they have a non-con on the 22nd against Utah Tech, and then they have Butler at home. So if you win tomorrow, as choppy as it's been, you could rattle off 5 in a row, and then you're going into January, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But don't look at that January, the beginning of the January schedule. The beginning of January for both Nebraska and Creighton is going to be a stiff test.
I don't think there's any lines out for tomorrow's games, but I would love to know what the over-under is going to be for the Creighton Kansas State game, because that is going to be a points game. Kansas State scores the ball, and then they don't do anything else well. They don't rebound. They don't play defense. They shoot 69% from the free throw line. They are bad. Do you think Nate Lesner's scouting report for Illinois just says they are very big, or big in capital letters? I mean, I was going through, because I watched a little bit. I went back and watched a little bit of the Ohio State game. They have Tomislav Ivasic, who's 7'1". They have Vonimir Ivasic, who's 7'2". They got Mirkovic, who's 6'9". They have Stojakovic, who's 6'7". They got Wagler, who's 6'6". They have Humrichis, who I'm thinking it's pronounced actually Humorkaus. So it's actually a little bit more, Eastern European.
Good luck
sounding.
to Brian Barnhart, who's the play-by-play guy for them.
And it's like Humricus or Humorkaus is 6'9". The only guy that isn't above 6'3" is Kylan Boswell, who is actually one of the better point guards in the Big Ten. I mean, they are just a massively long and skilled team that they'll just against Ohio State. A lot of the offense was, we're just going to put it in the post and we're going to back you down. And we're going to get easy buckets.
And they had Bruce Thornton.
Well, that's literally the only saving grace that Ohio State had. I mean, that game was 88-80, simply off the back of Bruce Thornton was just stepping back and hitting threes and slashing the hole. Where I don't know if you're kind of comparing, like, how did Thornton play? Like, you kind of look at a guy like Jamarcus Lawrence, where it's just like, all right, hey, you might have an opportunity with your skill set if you're not going to score at the rim to make some plays around the basket with your passing. I mean, if they got another 7 assists from J-Law, that would be massive against Illinois.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, this is a big day in local radio in Omaha, Nebraska. A friend of mine, a voice and a name that a lot of people know. Maybe most associate him with Nebraska football. Today, Gary Saddlemeyer is retiring. Sadler has been in the radio business in this state for 49 years. He is up the street, right around the corner from our radio station at KFAB. Has been hosting a morning show, wow, for a long, long time. But I first met Gary when Gary and Kent were the radio crew for Nebraska football. And so that's kind of like my first introduction to radio in Nebraska and hanging out with those two goofballs. And of course, Kent still doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Kent's loving life, man. Ken is just living the dream right now, and everybody's living the dream with him. But congratulations. Had a chance to see Sadler recently, and today he retires over at KFAB at the age of 73. Hang out with the grandkids, everybody else. His health is good, but 49 years in the business, which included a stint in the booth with him and Kent doing the games, and today he retires.
Congratulations, Gary Saddlemeyer, an awesome career. I haven't met Gary, but I saw a lot of tweets yesterday from broadcasters like you who credited him to helping them along their career and everything like that, and just being a good presence around the broadcast community. And I think it's a testament to 49 years is crazy. 49 years in anything is incredible. 49 years in this business is an incredible accomplishment. So congratulations to him. You had a great tweet about him. So very nice of you.
All right, halfway through on this Friday, this non-guest Friday, first time ever that's happened in the history of the morning show. Good job, everybody. We will talk some Nebraska football because Nebraska football will talk to us today. It's defensive day. Phil Snow speaks.
I got to go back and look if the last time he talked was like a year ago during this time.
That might be the case. And we'll discuss the addition of Roy Manning, what that means for the staff, as he was added yesterday. Rush Ends coach at San Diego State. So he's following his defensive boss from last year. Also, more on basketball tomorrow and the end of an era with Nebraska volleyball that begins tonight. All of that to come in the last 2 hours in 1620 The Zone. Hey, the Zone wants to send you to go see the Mavs in action. They take on York coming up on Tuesday at Baxter Arena. Omaha is off until then. Just listen to Unsportsmanlike Conduct for your chance to win your way into the game. A couple listeners have reminded me, or just added to the conversation about Nebraska playing at Illinois tomorrow, that 2 years ago, and you looked it up, Nebraska was a 10-point underdog.
Yep.
That was the Casey went nuclear game. He scored 31, and Nebraska had a kick at the end of the game where they got it to overtime. They lost by 3.
Yep.
Here's the Kansas State connection. Coleman Hawkins, I think, was playing for Illinois that day.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that was that a Corbello team too? Was that an Andre Corbello, Coleman Hawkins, Kofi Coburn,
I just
Illinois
remember
team?
some bad officiating at the end, and what was his name? Marcus Domasic?
Yes.
There was a play at the end of the game.
Damascus.
So at the end of regulation, he went to the free throw line, and
Was it-
Nebraska had a lead, and he hit the free throw to tie it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Marcus
Terrence Shannon Jr. was on that team.
Didn't Damascus, wasn't he on like the Heat? Wasn't he on the Heat G League team or
believe so.
something like that?
Yeah.
God, that was a good Illinois team.
Mm-hmm.
That Illinois team, weren't they they were a 3 seed or a 2 seed in the tournament that year?
They were like 16-5 when that game was played, but they were a 10-point favorite 2 years ago in Champaign, and Nebraska went in there. Like from the last media timeout to the end of regulation, I think the only point that Illinois got was that free throw to tie the game with 3 seconds to go. Nebraska went on like an 11-0 run, and the Casey was unconscious.
That year,
Because
Illinois.
Nebraska also led at halftime in that game.
Yeah, so that year, they ended up the two teams ended up playing each other in the Big Ten tournament, and Illinois ended up beating them by 11. And then this was the year that Illinois lost to UConn when UConn went on that insane run in the it would have been the Elite Eight that game. That was a really good Illinois basketball team. That was a crazy game. 10-point underdogs. Yeah. If you want, by the way, covers.com, if you want to know any of the past spreads of any sporting event that's ever happened, it is one of the greatest tools that I have ever just fallen into. Daddy needs to find history.
All right. That game's tomorrow at 3. Creighton, Kansas State here on the Zone at 2. Creighton, Kentucky volleyball to go to Kansas City at 4. Nebraska is in action tonight against KU. They don't play till 8:30, so get your nap in. And then if they win, they will play undetermined on Sunday on ABC. The number one broadcasting crew is in Lincoln, so we would think that ABC will carry Nebraska and potentially Louisville, which will be very awkward for both head coaches.
Yeah, it would be.
Not awkward for Matt Rule. Matt Rule just keeps hiring people. Eventually they'll run out of spots, but for right now, no. This will be the first time that Nebraska under the Matt Rule era has had a defensive coordinator that's been hired that has the ability to bring somebody with them.
Oh God.
Tony White didn't from Syracuse. John Butler, of course, like he didn't go, hey, anybody from the Bills want to come? He was just promoted from within. But Rob Orich, his edge rushing coach, Roy Manning, who Michigan guy, Oklahoma guy, he's like the Sharon Moore, but without the baggage.
Sure.
We hope.
hope.
Yes. But, Sharon Moore, Oklahoma and Michigan. So Roy Manning hired yesterday. 28 sacks of the 32 were by the edge rushers at San Diego State. He comes to a position that we didn't know was open.
Sure.
So Philip Simpson, who kind of coached that position last year, does he slide to a recruiting role? What happens with him? Because everything's about Cruton now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of additions that have strong Cruton backgrounds. Maybe not as much as the D, but they are good at the E. Roy Manning, I think, fits the role of the D instead of the E. But Philip Simpson has been known as the guy that gets the E in the Cruton. But there's a lot of Cruters. But curious if having some familiarity and being able to add a guy that was with you, if that position will have the quick turnaround that it needs to. Well, it's familiarity with what they're going to run.
It's interesting, too. Rob Orich, before he was the defensive coordinator for San Diego State, was also the edge coach for San Diego State. So that's like Manning's the guy who kind of took over for Orich when Orich got that promotion. It's interesting. we talk about it all the time, right? When we, like you just mentioned it, Tony White didn't bring anyone other than Stephon Thompson, and that wasn't necessarily that high of an impact of a player.
We're talking staff.
Yes, but I'm talking. I'm kind of transitioning here to players, right? Like, Tony didn't really bring anybody. John Butler wasn't, nobody on the Bills was, still had eligibility to come and play. So you couldn't have any of that. So you look at San Diego State's roster, and it's probably one of the more impressive parts of their defense is like all the guys that they have with a ton of sacks. Ryan Henderson had 7 sacks. They had a guy, Trey White, who he had 19 and a half sacks over the last 2 seasons. Could be an NFL guy, but he's a little small in measurables. He's only like 6'2", 250. So it could be, it'd be very interesting if, it'd be nice, not interesting. It'd just be nice if Nebraska were able to hire somebody who's currently coaching in college and then to bring a position coach with them and then to get guys that they desperately need, because Nebraska desperately needs guys who can just sack the quarterback, who can rush the passer. That is like one of the top things they were missing this year. And it's also, you look across just football in general, if you want to be a team that upsets other teams, that beats other teams, getting to the quarterback, right, in those specific games is one of the best ways to do it, right? You go through and you look at some of the bigger upsets that have happened. It's because the front four was able to get to the quarterback. My
first question would be, as he looks at film, and I don't know, will he be post-January when he arrives, or will he be able to stop by during bowl practice? I mean, this kind of happened pretty quick yesterday. Yeah, kind of out of the blue a bit.
Assuming post-bowl. I'm going to guess because Orich is post-bowl, right? He's going to coach the San Diego State team.
He will, yes.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that he will dabble a little bit in Lincoln.
Okay.
That'll be a question when Phil Snows talks today. But my first question would be, after he gets boots on the ground and gets to meet everybody, opens up his office, is what do you think of Williams and Winery?
Yeah.
That'd be the first question. Had some success with some edge rusher guys. Nebraska has a guy that probably playing his first year, went as predicted. Is what do you think of him, and what do you think you can do with him?
I do you think he went as predicted? I thought heading into the year, Winery was a guy that I don't think we thought. I think he was a tweener. I think we kind of were like, I don't know. We didn't really know what to fully expect from him in terms of not only just production perspective, but snap perspective. If you're looking across the defensive line as guys who like actually improved and took big steps, I mean, he went from not being able to get on the field against, with Missouri and being redshirted to, he probably was the most consistent guy in terms of getting pressure to the quarterback. And so, yeah, I mean.
And when I say, I didn't expect him to come in and just blow the doors off, but he did enough that the following year, he's got a great start because he essentially sat out a year of football.
Yeah.
And so he was learning on the fly. And I think he did exactly what I thought, because he laid a groundwork for what I think can be this year.
Sure.
But now he's got somebody else that's different coaching him, and in a defense that'll be a little bit different, that actually he might be one of those guys to put on your watch list for 2026 that is good, that entices you, that now may blow up because it's different.
Oh, if we were making a dude board of like the power rankings of Nebraska's dudes and who fits the mold of All-American or Big Ten or like NFL draft picks, it's Winery. It's the 5-star. I mean, he's the guy that if you're going to have, if you're pegging, hey, this is going to be the impact all-star on defense, if he's not at the top of the list, he'd be at it.
All right, here is Joe. Joe, thanks for the call. Good morning.
What is up? Good morning, guys. Appreciate the show. So they hired Roy Manning, and I do think having him on his staff the year before is going to help him. Terry Braden, to me, I didn't see a whole lot of development as the year went on. And I also don't think him and Butler were very good recruiters. I mean, they didn't have a whole lot of time to really prove that or disprove that. But the small incoming class had very few D linemen, had very few like really impactful defensive players other than that linebacker to sort of get excited about. So I kind of wonder how much of that played into it. But then they hired Roy Manning, who I think is great. No relations to Mark Manning. And I want to give a quick shout out to wrestling.
No, he is not.
Or Payson.
Right. No, they are not related. But big home duels on the 19th and the 21st, I believe. North Carolina, Oklahoma State. Yep. Both obviously really good programs. But big, huge duels coming up. And
yeah,
they
bounced back. They had a nice weekend last weekend.
Yep, yeah, they did. They bounced back, and guys looked to be wrestling a little better than they did at national duels. But
Yeah.
it's not really how you start; it's kind of how you finish.
No, and I said this, Joe, and you follow Nebraska wrestling a little bit more intense than I do. It just seems under Mark that they're going to have that early like November, and then they'll have one in January, and then by the end of January, February, going into conference, they'll be back to what you think they are.
No, I agree, and that's kind of been par for the course. I think last year it was UNI, Northern Iowa, brought the energy, and you came out and laid an egg, and then they wrestled great after that. But no, I agree with you. They sort of seem like they need to have a hiccup and a wake up call. But hey, appreciate the show. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe. I think so listen to this next Sunday. So let's say Nebraska makes it to the final game in Kansas City in the national championship. I think simultaneously you'll have Nebraska volleyball, Nebraska men's basketball, and wrestling going on at the same time.
Wow. And they're all, I mean, at that point, so Nebraska wrestling still ranked, I'm assuming, right? Even though they've dropped 2 duels. So you'll have ranked Nebraska volleyball, ranked Nebraska basketball, hopefully ranked Nebraska basketball and men's and women's. It's one of those things we always talk about, and we've been talking about it. It's just like the athletic department's been killing it in all these different sports, except for the one that is, the one that is shown the most. I don't want to say most important because I feel like it is the most important sport, but I feel like when you say that, it kind of takes away a little bit from the value of the other sports.
I guess basketball will not be. I had to go look at this. And I think this is adjusted because they're planning on Nebraska volleyball being in the national championship game, playing a Sunday night 7:00 game on the Big Ten Network against North Dakota. So yeah, they are not going at the same time. But what time? Is unfortunately, because that is against Oklahoma State, that is a huge duel. That's at 1:00.
Yeah.
So maybe they will show the duel at 1, and then you can stick around in the Bob and watch Nebraska volleyball, because I think the national championship match in Kansas City on the 21st is at 2:30.
Okay. Should I use my connections to try and see if we can keep the Bob open for an extended period of time?
I think your connections are better at Creighton than they are at Nebraska.
They for keeping buildings open, they're both ass. They're both terrible. I can't keep. I have no power. I have no power when it comes to athletic department.
All right.
Zero pull.
Well, when we come back, we will talk about Nebraska volleyball. But there's another aspect that tonight is the penultimate night for something in that building. That we will get into when we come back on 1620 The Zone. So you see the news yesterday out of Los Angeles about the Olympics and the Coliseum and USC?
No, I didn't.
So because of the Olympics going on in the LA Coliseum, USC football is going to need a new home in 2028. Ironically, Nebraska plays at USC in 2028.
Oh.
If that is the case, which I guess the way that the Coliseum will be set up, it'll take a while to convert back to football. So USC needs a home. In 2028, all 4 Los Angeles football teams could be playing in the same building.
In SoFi?
Yeah.
That'd be wild. SoFi is great. It's a great scheme. So UCLA, they haven't resolved what's going on with...
No, but that is the plan for them to move to SoFi.
SoFi? Jeez, that
all indoors in Los Angeles.
The logistical nightmare that is going to entail for not only just from a scheduling perspective, but also just from a grounds crew perspective. Say your prayers for those people and the paint jobs and the having to go over the hashes, move
just
the
paint
hashes,
football in the end zone.
It's going to be stupid.
Everyone can.
That would be terrible. Imagine like they would probably have like almost every weekend they would have 2 football games being played on that turf. That's got to be unsafe at the end of the season for somebody. I mean,
it's field turf.
Is it field turf or
Yeah.
is it grass
No,
or
it's
is it
field
that
turf.
mixture? Oh, okay,
The place is indoors.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
One end is open, but it's indoors.
They still have I don't know what the turf situation was, but like we have the mesh of like nowadays we have the mesh of like the grass and the turf, right? I don't think there's any way of me backing out of the comment. I think the turf is going to be fine.
I think there's very rarely that the Rams and the Chargers play. They might play a Sunday, Monday, or a Thursday, Sunday. I think the NFL gives them a scheduling bump. I don't know what UCLA and USC's situation is, but could you have one game? Well, one game at 12:30 local and then play a night game there as well?
No way. That'd be hell. That'd be terrible. The turnaround would be. Can you imagine USC?
They do it the Staples Center for Kings and Lakers or Clippers.
Well, but that's
used to be
basketball.
Clippers.
But that's,
yeah, the Clippers moved.
That's basketball.
Clippers are right next to SoFi.
That's basketball.
No, I know. I'm just trying to
take
give
the
some
wood
sort of
out and you put new wood and you make sure that the right logo is on the floor. This is, the paint jobs. If you played a game at 1:00, that game wouldn't end and everybody wouldn't be out of the arena until what, like 5?
4, 5.
And then you have
That's why UCLA would play the early game because you only have like 10 or 15 fans. And you got to get out of the
They
the
leave,
stadium.
fix up the field.
They probably even wouldn't paint a logo in the middle of the field. They'll just be like, all right, hey, you're just gonna have to play on the
How would it great to go to one venue and see a doubleheader of Big Ten football in 2028 possibly?
Who's playing?
It doesn't matter. Doubleheader of Big Ten football?
I
wouldn't go to a bad non-con, but I'd go to a doubleheader of Big Ten football.
Rutgers.
I think if USC versus Michigan was after UCLA versus like Rutgers, okay, I think that would be fine.
It's football. You're going to watch football this month, right? You're probably going to watch a bowl game that is played in that same building tomorrow night after the Heisman Trophy.
But 2 games back to back is a lot of time in one spot to only watch 2 football games. Also, it'd be a lot of money. You'd have to like eat a lunch there and then eat your dinner there.
Called tailgating.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess you would leave. You could leave, go to the
Yeah, they
parking
would
lot,
leave- they
eat,
would
and
make
then
you
come
leave.
back. Okay,
Yeah,
so
hit
that's
up Fat
fine.
Burger in between games and
I don't know. I think that would be like a lot of time to be in one stadium to just watch 2 football games.
sign me up.
I think I would like
football games.
I think I would
Big Ten football.
I think I would much rather watch one Big Ten football game than go to a bar and then be in front of like 9 screens and then watch 9 other games at once, as opposed to
See, there's the argument. You'd be missing a lot of football.
Exactly.
Okay,
that's what I'm trying to say here. I think I would rather watch one game than go.
It's going to be a sad night tomorrow night in that stadium. This is it for the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Used to be the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. Now it's just the LA Bowl. It is done after tomorrow night, where Boise State and Washington are playing. It wasn't announced until Monday that they were playing in this, or Sunday that they were playing in this bowl game. So this is the first bowl game.
Sneaky good game. Like
yeah.
Washington has had a solid season. They didn't capitalize after they beat Illinois. But Boise State was, they were in their conference championship game against UNLV. It's a very sneaky quality.
You guys got memories? Your favorite memories of the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl that started in 2020?
I could not tell you one team that played in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl over the last couple of years. I'm not really a bowl game guy.
I think it's been Pac-12 Mountain West. I think that's been the matchup from day one.
Bowl games are fun.
I mean, I'm not.
This is the bowl game. So we now rest in peace, Bahamas Bowl and the LA Bowl after tomorrow night. This is one of those bowl games that in my world, you would move to the front of the year and it'd be ideal.
Sure.
Playing it at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Washington, Boise State would actually be a hell of a kickoff. And you're like, hey, that's a high quality game.
You bring out Chris Peterson to flip the coin. Be perfect.
That would be a great kickoff game. All right. Do you remember any of these games from the storied history of the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl? Utah State being Oregon State 24-13.
Oh, hell yes. I remember that.
Fresno State beat Washington State 29-6. UCLA beat Boise State 35-22 in 2023. Yes. And last year, UNLV beat California 24-13.
I think this hasn't always been on this weekend.
No.
No, actually, it's a weekend early.
I think Herb Street and Fowler have done a few of these games.
Really?
Before the playoff got started.
Just a nice little tune-up before the games that really matter. I mean, so you're right. This game is typically played on the weekend of December, like 17th, 18th.
Yeah, it's odd to have. So this is supposed to be the weekend where you get Army-Navy, which we do, 126th time that they're meeting, and they're serving at the stadium in Baltimore nachos in a naval fleet carrier.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In an aircraft carrier. They get nachos. They give you an aircraft carrier. Yeah.
How big is that?
It's pretty good size, and they have nachos in it. The pageantry for this game, undefeated.
Yeah.
The game, not so much. Only 4 times in the last 9 meetings has one team gone over 20. So the game is pageantry, pretty cool. But this is the weekend that was reserved for just Army, Navy, and then the Heisman Trophy. Now you have a bowl game that is must hate America. Because why would you do that to Army, Navy? Why would you move in and play a game on the day that is reserved for Army, Navy? They wait all year for this game. Maybe they should start the year with Army, Navy.
I don't think anybody.
But
well,
now
that might not be a bad idea.
Now the LA Bowl comes in and they're like, we don't like America. We just need to play a bowl game. And Army, Navy, we'll steal your headlines. Actually, probably will do. Well, I don't know. Army, Navy does pretty good in the ratings.
They do. It does really well.
We'll watch every year.
It wasn't. Do you remember last year we had that doomsday scenario of like Army and Navy were to play each other in the conference championship game, and then the playoff selection committee would happen, and then they would play the Army Navy game. And people were like, "How the hell? If Army and Navy are both eligible to be selected to CFP, like how can you? Like they would have to move the whole schedule for that. That was fun. 2023 LA Bowl MVP is a familiar name. Hello, old friend Ethan Garbers, the UCLA quarterback who came to Memorial Stadium and gave Matt Rule at the time his worst loss as the head coach of Nebraska football, which then probably has been superseded at this point as Matt Rule's worst loss as Nebraska football's head coach.
Right, so enjoy the LA Bowl tomorrow. It'll be a kickoff to Mr. Williams at Washington and his Heisman campaign next year.
Do you think anybody's saying like, hey, honey, I can't watch Army Navy. I got to watch Washington, Boise State?
It's football. We'll watch football. It doesn't matter. But this day, I'm telling you, if they expand the playoff, Army Navy is going to have to make a decision.
Oh, yeah, they should play.
Because this would be the weekend that the playoff would start, and you'd have no – well, it would probably be the second weekend because if you look at some proposals, you're not going to play the conference championship games anymore, so you're going to start on conference championship weekend, and you're going to be playing this weekend as well. So Army Navy, may have to make a decision on where they're going to go. I mentioned beginning of the year. That'd be very odd because this game is supposed to be played outside. Please, Atlanta, do not win the bid to get the game next year for Army Navy. Army Navy should not be played indoors.
Yeah.
Army Navy is outside, and Army Navy should be in cold, and it should be snowing. It should not be played inside a Mercedes-Benz. But they may have to make a decision that all of these playoff games that would be going on in the expanded playoff, where would Army Navy go?
No, you're right.
Would they, because both these teams are in a conference, so they're still playing conference games.
Yeah.
Would they ever think about moving the Army Navy game to the beginning of the year and play it in week 0?
Yes. Yes. Well, first off, I think that an Army Navy game in week 0 would be better than any Aer Lingus Classic matchup. Okay. I'm just, and also the Aer Lingus Classic matchup.
Don't get caught up in Army Navy. It's the pageantry.
Sure.
Like the football would be better. We would watch because we watch the cadets come into the stadium.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
We watch because it's the only thing on.
Yeah.
Unless you have a connection.
But
we watch the Aer Lingus game, even though sometimes look bad, the football is bad. we will still watch that.
Oh, we would, but I'm saying that like in terms of the marketing of like, oh, the Aer Lingus Classic is on and the Army Navy game is on. I think we're more likely to be like, hey, we want to tune in for Army versus Navy than, well, I actually think Kansas State versus Iowa State was a pretty good matchup for like the Classic, despite the fact that rivalries should not be played overseas. All this to say, you have to adapt and you have to make sure that the things that people cared about you and the things that make you money and the things that were important, you continue to stay important to you and continue to stay important to the viewing audience. And so, yeah, would it suck for Army Navy to break tradition and have to move this game that it's been on the same weekend for an incredibly long time? Yeah, it would suck. But what's more important? Having the game on the same date, but it's competing against a bunch of other games people would prefer to watch, or having the game, have the substance and having like people care about the game the same way that they do. I think it would be the latter, and I think you would do that by moving it to the beginning of the season. I love your idea about moving the bowl games to the beginning of the season.
Now, there would be one hiccup if they had to move Army Navy. Is remember Navy at the beginning of the year, halfway through the season, we were thinking they might be one of the group of 5 teams.
Yeah,
that they could be playing in the playoff. So in the expanded playoff, where Army Navy would fall,
sure,
they'd be playing in a playoff game, or would have just played in a playoff game, and now they'd have to make a decision.
Yeah. Well, the decision, I'm sorry, wouldn't be hard. The decision would be we're going to go and play in the college football playoff. That's what the decision would be.
They're not passing up, but in terms of where you put this game at.
Yeah, I think you put it in the beginning of the year. But you and you also can't put it in the middle of the year, Gary, because if you put it in the middle of the year, then it's just another game. And this game should not be looked at as just being like another game. And I know it's more, and you're right, it's more so to do with like the pregame and the postgame and, just the incredible traditions that go with it than the actual football. But this is
how many Army games or Navy games have you watched this year?
Oh, none. I think I watched a little bit of when Navy crapped on old North Texas. Like I think I watched a couple of plays in that game. I'll say this. I couldn't name you one player.
I had a run last year where I was betting on the Service Academy, so I watched a lot of Service Academy football. I will say, as a Heisman Trophy voter, I have watched a little bit of Navy because I watched Blake Horvath.
Yes.
Because I was like, okay, could this be a sleepy pick? And then, then
did you win money on the Service Academies?
Yes.
On them?
Yes.
And you got away from that this year. Why?
Because I found other places to bet, like the Army factor. Like teams the week after they play Army, struggle. They may win, but they struggle because of the kind of offense that Army plays.
Yeah. Another thing too,
and also then Air Force with the triple option that Troy Calhoun runs.
You don't have to share your business here, but like I've been struggling a little bit. It's been well documented. I've been struggling in the mixed sports book. Have you secretly been killing it this season in terms of no? Okay.
No. I've not what has hurt is in our contest, I would usually the bets that I would make, I would back up with money.
Yeah.
I have not been doing that of late, so I've slipped a little bit.
Well,
no, I haven't.
You're still, dude, you are like, if you were betting units on your bets, and I'm sure if we were to track, and by the way, I think you and I have done a very good job of not betting heavy favorites. Like we've bet basically even spreads. You would be making money. You'd be up a couple of units.
I haven't had time. I got projects I'm working on.
Okay. And futures could bet.
Yes. So enjoy the day of football tomorrow. That will include Army, Navy on the bucket list, actually, to go to the game and be in the stadium. I just hope that it doesn't go indoors next year. This is, we did not have Brett Ciancia this morning. He'll share his news next week when he is back on the show. So he does this every Heisman Trophy day. Him and I have this discussion about snubs.
Oh,
of course, Sue in 2009.
Sure.
Every Heisman day, Brett tweets out the 2009 defensive line stats for Alabama, who was the national champion, Florida, the defending champion, Texas, the runner-up, and then Sue himself, where Sue had 82 tackles. Alabama, as a defensive line, had 98, Texas 112, Florida 116. Sue had more tackle for losses than Texas's defensive line.
That's crazy.
He had 12 sacks, more than Alabama's defensive line. He had 24 hurries, which were more than Florida and Alabama's defensive line. So of the snubs, the 2009, you go, whoa, Mark Ingram, Gerhardt, where was Sue? Sue finished 4th.
That's crazy.
I think post-Sue, defensive players are looked at differently.
I agree.
I mean, we had a two-way guy win it last year. The one snub that involves Nebraska, and thankfully the voters were smart in 01 and looked at Crouch and said, that guy is carrying the team.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have made a case and said, okay, look at the loss. Because that loss on Black Friday, and Nebraska did not play the following weekend, that almost cost Crouch. But fortunately, there were ball knowers that were voting that watched Nebraska, and they're like, if they don't have Crouch, they don't got nothing. So he only won by 62 votes over Rex Grossman in 2001.
That's a small. Have there been smaller margins than that? Okay, 62.
But the one that the people don't talk about as much, and now it's 30 plus years ago, is Tommy Frazier. Eddie George won the Heisman that year, and Eddie George ended up winning by like 260 votes. I think he had 50 more first place votes. And Eddie George had a really good year.
Yeah.
But that's also a Heisman in 95. There's another guy that is further down on the list that didn't get the respect that he deserved. That's Troy Davis of Iowa State, who ended up finishing 5th.
Yeah.
But the problem with Tommy Frazier, and you know, Frazier took it out on Florida, and the whole debate was, well, what if they had the Heisman? Unfortunately, they don't. But in my opinion, this is what happened with Tommy. Tommy had 31 touchdowns that year.
Mm-hmm.
He accounted for nearly 179 yards of total offense. Problem, compared to Ohio State, who played a lot more closer games.
Yeah.
Tommy Frazier did not play a lot of fourth quarters that entire season. There was very few times that Tommy Frazier played in the fourth quarter.
Sure.
And I also think people looked at Tommy Frazier and said, oh, he's just part of a great team. Then there was the other aspect that I think that hurt Frazier in 95, and I was not a voter back then, is the negativity towards Nebraska football and the Lawrence Phillips situation and the way it was handled and the fact that Nebraska was destroying everybody for the second straight year. So I think all of those factors, people said, nope, I'm voting for Eddie George. Eddie George had a really good year. He ran for a lot. Eddie George played more full games that season than Tommy Frazier did. And sometimes these awards, you just look at the stats.
Sure.
And Tommy's stats don't jump off the page, but still, 179 yards of total offense per game, 31 touchdowns, playing in essentially 3 quarters every Saturday and taking the fourth quarter off.
It's incredible too, Gary. So you go ahead and so to your point of Eddie George, or sorry, Tommy Frazier not playing a lot of fourth quarters. So Eddie George touched the ball 347 times.
Yes, he did.
His season in 1995 when he won the Heisman. You look at Tommy Frazier. Tommy Frazier only had 163 passing attempts and 97 rushing attempts. Okay, so that means that he had the ball about He touched the ball 216 times or 260 times in 1995. Eddie George touched the ball 87 more times, and yet from like an efficiency standpoint and from a yard standpoint, their numbers were incredibly comparable. Now, I think you're totally spot on in terms of what the attitudes were toward Nebraska were. I mean, look, back, when you're getting your ass whooped and everybody's getting their ass whooped, no one's going to really like love it or enjoy it or anything like that. And then, the LP situation. Tommy Frazier he had 218 votes. Eddie George had 268 first place votes. And then Troy Davis had 41 first place votes while having more rushing yards than Eddie George that season.
The 95 Troy Davis season was
he had 2,000 yards.
It's one of the best seasons as a running back in college football.
He had 2,000 yards on 345 rushing attempts with 15 touchdowns. His yards per carry was 0.2 less than Eddie George that year. And he got beat out by Darnell Autry of Northwestern that season.
Troy Davis and Autry were both sophomores.
Yeah. And Autry, by the way, had a good year. I mean, grew up in a family where they absolutely loved Darnell Autry, right? But he had 4.7 yards per carry. Troy Davis had 5.8 yards per carry. Now, granted, that was like Northwestern's greatest season still to this day of all time, and like a very unknown team coming through and like getting all the way to the Rose Bowl. So you got to go ahead and honor like their top player like that. But you're right, Troy Davis got screwed.
Troy Davis also maybe was on a really bad team. That year in Lincoln, Nebraska beat him 73-14. Troy Davis still went over 100 yards against the Black Shirts. But the one thing I remember about the 95 game with Iowa State playing in Lincoln is Amon Green had a like one of his better days that he's had. Because he had, what do you have? Like there was the third quarter where Amon, LP, and Clinton all had touchdown runs, and Tommy had a touchdown run. They scored 28 in the third quarter. They had 4 rushing touchdowns. Those were the 4. So Amon had 176. Frazier had a typical day. He had 180 yards of total offense. I do remember that.
Yeah.
But that's also the return. That's the day that Bernard Goldberg and CBS returned to Lincoln because that was the return of LP.
That's
that
awesome.
day in 95 when Troy Davis was here.
I remember when, like, you and I first, this was even before you and I started working together, that you would like have me go through the 1995 scores and be like, they just didn't win games. They kicked everybody's ass. I mean, it wasn't like, it was by the second quarter.
Like where I grew up, you'd watch them just in amazement of, wow, these guys are amazing.
Well, so that game they ran for at least 6 bills. It was also, I'm pretty sure that was the first time that Nebraska was number 1 in the country.
Oh, this would be a good game for the two of you. Can you name me? So we've named the first place guy in Eddie George, the second place Bo Getter and Tommy Frazier. We've named 4 and 5 and Autry and Davis. Can you name me 3, 6, and 7 of Heisman voting that season?
Danny Werfel.
Yes, great call. He was third place.
Third.
Yeah. 6 and 7. And the reason why I say 6 and 7 is they were very notable names, not just in college, but in the NFL. They both had Hall of Fame careers. 95. You might think, I think you're gonna kick yourself that you didn't get one of them.
Keyshawn Johnson was 7th.
So that's the one I expected to get. You may not get this one because he had a greater season later on in his career.
Peyton Manning.
There you go. Because people are like 97 with Peyton. Yeah. They're not like 95, but he was awesome.
And then Eddie George, I think he was in the top 10. Wasn't Bobby Hoying?
Yeah,
who was the
great
quarterback
call.
at Ohio State?
Yeah, number 10. Can you get 8 and 9?
They played against each other. Or no, didn't play against each other. Biaka Batuka.
Nice. You're a psycho. 9. That was 8.
He had 315 yards against
95.
Yeah.
95.
No hints. You can get this. Had a hell of a year.
Work done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, G Sharp, I need to bring you
95 was a good year.
Well, yeah.
Well, so
everything.
Part of 95 is
I could probably do that with the 2011 NBA MVP voting.
So Autry, Davis, and Manning in 95 were all sophomores.
Autry, Davis, and Manning, all sophomores. Great call. And George and Frazier obviously were seniors. Werfel was a junior, and Autry was a sophomore.
And Danny got his a year later.
Yeah. Are you like a Heisman like 1996? Could you give me? Well, see, it's work done. It'd be a fun game to play. Autry.
No, in 96 was Werfel.
Mm-hmm. No, I was talking about
then Troy Davis moved up to 2nd.
Yeah. Okay. Who's 3rd?
Well, he beat Nebraska, Jake Plummer.
Yeah. Who's 4th?
That's
you know this one. You know this one because it's a weird one.
It's only weird because he's an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Orlando Pace, was he 4th or 5th?
He was 4th.
And then Warwick Dunn
was 5th. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you come on. If you can get, because I already told you Autry was 7th here. He had an even better year. By the way, Autry had a better year in 96 than he did in 95.
They went to the Citrus Bowl.
They did.
Played Tennessee because you can't spell citrus without UT.
6. Can you get the 6th place guy? Running back.
Give me the school.
Texas Tech.
Oh,
Byron Hansmart.
Yeah. And then you got, all right, here we go. This will be good ones for you.
Shout out the original Coach
place. 9th place played at Wyoming. 10th place played at Air Force.
Okay, Air Force quarterback is Bo Morgan.
Great job.
I don't know the Wyoming guy.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, even I don't know that
Marcus Harris?
Yeah, I mean, I recognize the name.
That was Joe Tiller before he went to Purdue.
He was in the top 10 in Heisman voting.
Listen to Marcus Harris from Wyoming's stat line. 109 receptions, 1,650 yards, 15.1 yards per catch, 13 touchdowns. Frick.
You know, then you turn to 97.
Okay.
And
this is the class. This is the 30 for 30. This is the classic.
Well, Amon is not even in the top 10. Nobody from Nebraska is in the top 10.
No, they're not. Good call. It's your 1, 2, 3, 4. It's Woodson, Manning, Leaf, and Moss. Where have you watched that 30 for 30? That's a great 30
on the other night.
See, I don't know if I like that 30 for 30 because they didn't use new tape, or I like that 30 for 30 because they only use old tape. Like I'm very hit or miss on it. But then you had Ennis, Ricky Williams, and Tim Dwight after that. Tim Dwight was at the Jet Award last year.
All right, here is Chris in the home of Nebraska's bowl game at the end of the month. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, I had a Troy Davis story. Back in the 90s, Iowa State came out here and played UNLV. We used to go to UNLV games because they were cheap, fun to go to. Watch them get blown out.
Was that at Sam Boyd Stadium?
Yes, it was.
Is that thing still standing?
It is still standing. They can't use it for anything, but per the agreement they signed with the Raiders. But the only thing it's used for now is like police training.
Oh, okay.
I drove by there the other day, and they were practicing getting suspects on the ground with armed, with toy guns and everything like that.
All right.
It was funny. But we were going to the game. My best friend and I, we were going in, and this family came in with all Iowa State jerseys and everything, and they had extra tickets. Like, you want tickets? Like, yeah. The only thing is you have to cheer for our player.
Ah.
And it was Davis, and he had a great game. It was fun. It was a great family, nice. It was just they were good people. And
Yeah.
he ran all over UNLV.
Yeah, his brother Darren, I think, also went to Iowa State. They were built much differently, but man, Troy Davis was cock diesel. He's a little tiny guy. Wasn't he like 5'8", 5'7", something along those range?
Somewhere right around there. Yeah. He was. Yeah, I think he was just after. I don't think Icky Woods had already graduated from UNLV.
Hey, thanks for the call, Chris.
Hey, 5'7", 191, Troy Davis.
So one of the talking points for Iowa State when they were promoting Troy Davis is that he did have, he played well against Nebraska.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was a big deal back then.
Nebraska, that Nebraska was so good.
He
It
ran
was
for
such
over 100 yards against Nebraska.
Like they did that with Ashton Genty last year in the Oregon game, where they were all trying, we were all trying to figure out did you have Genty 1, by the way, on your Heisman voting?
No, I have 2.
Okay.
I'm with Travis Hunter last year.
Thank you. Help me out. But what I was going to say is that's just, it was it's funny that we do that, or it's like, who's the best team that they played? That is a good argument. I could definitely do this, by the way. I think you could do it for a lot of the 90s and maybe early 2000s Heisman voting, only because of Derrick Rose. I could definitely pull off the top 10 of the NBA MVP voting.
So that's fair. That's you're getting invested too.
That was a Mano year. Mano was top. Manu Ginobili was top 10 in that.
So Joey brings this up, and remember, in 1997, Nebraska wins the national championship. They did not have a person in the top 10 of the Heisman voting. So Joey brings this up about Amon. Didn't Amon get screwed? Yes. Amon in 1997 ran for 1,877 yards and 22 touchdowns.
He was really damn good.
He didn't get invited to the Hall of Fame ceremony at all, and did not get enough votes to be in the top 10.
That's crazy. I'm now trying to look this up. Has there been since then the national champion in has the national champion not had a Heisman Trophy winner in the top 10 in Heisman voting?
I doubt it.
Actually, it happened in 1998 because Tennessee won the BCS and they didn't have a guy in the top 10 in Heisman Trophy vote.
T. Martin.
Yeah. Jamal Lewis.
No, it went
Al
Ricky
Wilson.
Williams, Michael Bishop, Kane McNown, Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb, Cole Pepper, Bailey, Holt, Joe Germain, Sean King.
Joe Germain.
Ohio State quarterback.
Sean King had the Bucs one game from the Super Bowl.
So here's the thing. I think there's Nebraska fatigue with Amon in 97.
Yes.
Because Curtis Enos finished 5th in the voting, and I don't think he got to 1,400 yards for Penn State.
I can look at that.
Now, Ricky Williams had a better year than Amon that year.
But still.
And then Tim Dwight, because of his return, he
did.
But the only other running back was Zeraway from West Virginia, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 10th over.
But still did not have the numbers that Amon had. Yeah, Amon,
15. Yeah, he had 1,500 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, there was Nebraska fatigue in the 90s. I think there's a conspiracy around Tommy not getting the Heisman in 95.
Yeah,
but it's okay. You know why? Because Eddie George, going back to Columbus, had to put the Heisman Trophy through the, in security.
Yeah.
Back when security was much different.
Sure.
And it broke part of the trophy. And I remember hearing that story on a Monday morning after Tommy did not win. And I'm like, yes. And then Tommy went out and he's like, I'll show you in the Fiesta Bowl.
I'm moving through here. Like, oh no, it happened in 2002 with Ohio State. Ohio State did not have a guy in the top 10 of the Heisman Trophy. So I guess it does happen more oftentimes than we think.
But the thing about the 95 season, when it comes to the Heisman Trophy, is at the end of the day, that Heisman Trophy was already won in the first 2 games of that season. It might have been won on opening night, but by the second game in 1995, you could have turned in your ballot and your ballot would have been correct. Lawrence Phillips won the Heisman Trophy in the first 2 games of the 95 season.
Yeah.
No doubt. He already had his Heisman moment. He had one of his first carries of the season against Oklahoma State on a Thursday night where everybody's watching. Nebraska's the defending national champion.
Man amongst boys.
He had his first Heisman moment. Then he goes and does what he does against Michigan State, and he has the long run third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, because I was at that game, ironically hanging with Kent and Gary, said he won the Heisman Trophy. LP was going to win the Heisman Trophy in 95 with a runaway.
It's funny. I've only heard I heard a story of Richard Jefferson tells it of when he saw LeBron do the block right in person, and he goes, he became a black blur. I've never seen anybody become a black blur. It reminded me of the story that you told me of you were standing on the sidelines of LP.
Oh, you hear it.
Ran right by you, and how you've never heard anything sound like that. You never heard a move, never heard a human move and sound like that. Like it was a freight train coming down the track.
Who's a kid in Florida? You said you're
Noel Devine.
Yeah.
So LP had 153 on 12 carries against Oklahoma State, and the next Saturday,
what?
Yeah, the next Saturday at Michigan State,
crazy.
Which includes that 50-yard run because it was at the end of the third quarter. LP 22 carries, 206.
Do you remember
Those were his first 2 games of the 95 season.
Do you remember the one LP game that you made me watch? The LP highlights you made me watch? The Michigan State game in 95?
Yep.
Where you're like, you told me, I've never seen a man run like with the force and ferocity that he ran with in that Michigan State game. The run to highlight is that 50-yard run at the end of the third quarter. Yeah.
I mean, he just outruns everybody else. Now, I mean, he was running angry that day.
Right.
We know why.
Right. Yeah.
But he had won the Heisman. That was also back when Nebraska would roll up like 500 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter comes and it's already, was it 30 at that point, like 36-10, I think.
Yeah. Just like every other
start
game
the fourth quarter.
That was close though for back.
So Amon had a long touchdown run in the fourth quarter, and then Jay Sims' only carry of that game
really
was 80 yards, touchdown. It was after a touchback on a punt.
I'm thoroughly impressed with your ability to remember the top 10 highs. It's one thing I think a lot of people can end up getting like 4.
I believe
or 5. The fact that you're able to grab the 10th.
Because I used to watch the show all the time.
I know.
It was a big deal.
We went through a stretch of about 15 years where guys like Jason White and Chris Wenke, who were 40 years old, were winning the Heisman. And it didn't seem like it was that important in the game.
Yeah.
And then Deion showed up a couple years ago because people didn't talk about it throughout the season. It got towards the end, and then you'd start to talk about it. But Deion brought it back where they beat TCU with Shadur and Travis Hunter in his first game as a head coach, and he brought up winning the Heisman.
Yeah.
And since then, it's like we talk because there are always weekly polls and stuff, but now national media weekly talking about the Heisman kind of started with Shadur and Travis Hunter at Colorado.
And I think the betting markets too.
Yeah.
Like the betting markets have definitely propped it up. And
we used to get those 30 for 30s.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Gary. I think that the odds this year, if I had to make a prediction because of how this year went, I think the odds for Heisman throughout the season are actually going to be higher because we've just seen how random it got this season. And I think with the NIL and the fact that you have all these guys, unknown transfer portals, different fits and stuff, I think the Heisman betting market is going to become one of the more popular futures markets when they boost up some of these odds because of the randomness.
John says, imagine that somehow during a discussion of Heisman winners, Matt is able to interject Northwestern football.
Well, Darnell Autry was in. He was a top 5 voter. He was fourth place, baby. Darnell, man. That's one of the guys. My dad sat me down. He goes, let me tell you something about Ryan Sandberg, right? Then he goes, let me tell you something about Mark Grace. Then he goes, let me tell you something about Lee Smith. And the fourth guy on the list was, let me tell you something about Darnell Autry.
They beat Penn State the same day.
Your dad is John Green?
No, that's just me. That's just me fluttering Gruden into everything I do. Did you, by the way? So I went on the Jack Mitchell and Josh Peterson. They did the I-80 Club on YouTube. They had a watch party during Penn State. I started doing my John Gruden impression, and Jack didn't know I was doing an impression. He thought I was just talking, and he was just like, "Why do you sound like John Gruden right now?" He's like, "Is he from Chicago? Is Gruden a Chicago guy?" And I go, "No, I'm doing an impression." It was a great moment.
Quick story about. Then we got to take a break.
do.
Darnell
It was
Autry. So we never saw him in person, but yeah, he had. I mean, the '95 team is a standalone at Northwestern.
It's the greatest athletic team of all time.
So Nebraska, before they hung a Route 66 on your Cats at the Alamo Bowl,
Yep.
there were people that were telling us that Damian Anderson was better than Darnell Autry.
Whoa.
No.
Hey, Damian Anderson ran.
He was good. He was good.
149 in that game.
He was good.
Also, I mean, Dan Alexander ran for 240, but that's beside the point.
Darnell was.
The people back there, they tell you about that game that night in San Antonio?
No.
66-17.
I was going to say you should have been with me.
Where Northwestern got upset because Frank was pissed and Frank ran up the score?
No. They tell me about.
They ran a trick play with Bobby Newcomb and Davison.
The two games that I'm always the two things I'm always so about.
Frank was making a point. He was livid.
Yeah.
Because Northwestern was cheap shot artists that game.
Oh,
yes, I do remember that.
So the games I get told about the 95 season is obviously when they beat Michigan and then the coin toss at USC. I don't get told about the USC game. We don't talk about the Rose Bowl. We don't talk about that result. We just talk about, hey, the coin toss was really cool, to
Didn't
see
get
them
blown
there.
out. They lost 41-32. They played hard.
Basically.
It's Keyshawn.
Basically.
I know.
Ed says, quick note about the Alamo Bowl. I was at the game.
Me too.
Kyle Vandenbosch, question mark? Literally, Kyle Vandenbosch seemed like he made every tackle in that game.
It's that's funny. It seems like whenever Nebraska
Frank was livid that they got sent to San Antonio.
It's funny.
We loved having them.
It seems like every time Northwestern and Nebraska play on either side, there's a linebacker that makes all the tackles. Like, I'm pretty sure Luke Reimer's best game was in 2022 against Northwestern. He had 18 tackles. I'm like, who the hell is this guy flying around the field?
Yeah, and then I see some lanky Northwestern quarterback weaving his way down the field with Josh Banderas trailing after him as he goes for 60.
Dude, never forget the name Ryan Helinski. That's a name that will live in infamy in Nebraska football lore. Ryan Helinski.
Well, that's one game you'll never have to worry about anybody forgetting.
That's a good point.
We still got another hour to go. Quick break. We'll come back to wrap this hour after this. All right, then the volleyball state. Nebraska plays tonight at 8:30 against KU in the Sweet 16. Creighton's already the Elite 8. They're in Lexington, Kentucky to take on number 1 seed Kentucky tomorrow at 4 o'clock on ESPN. So it is, because Louisville is in Lincoln as well, it is Nebraska versus Kentucky in the volleyball state. I was just looking this up because the Final Four next week is in Kansas City at T-Mobile in the Power and Light.
Mm-hmm.
Next year is at the Alamo Dome.
Well, hell yes.
The
All
following year is in Columbus.
Not the same.
I don't think they've gone that far out. When is the Final Four for volleyball coming back to Nebraska?
No clue.
Is the CHI too small nowadays?
No, it's perfect size.
Is Nebraska and Creighton too good that people do not want it to be here?
Because
it was here. Accurate. It was here during the COVID weird
tournament.
Hey, we have because they had it. They moved it to the second semester.
And Kentucky won that one, right?
Yes. So we haven't had the Final Four back here. Maybe people are like, no, it would be a home match for Nebraska.
I actually think that might be a reason why.
Then beat them. Don't cry about it.
Exactly.
They should have it here.
Exactly. All right. There is no more standing room only after this weekend in Lincoln. We'll talk SRO coming up in the last hour, among other things, as we put a wrap on the week on 1620 The Zone. All right, last hour. For people who are watching on TV, rightfully given the Heisman Trophy, Eric Crouch wrongly denied the Heisman Trophy. Sports Illustrated.
That's awesome.
Josh brought those in.
Oh.
I think his parents were
Okay.
throwing some things out, and so they had those. I wish the Tommy Frazier Sports Illustrated was in better condition.
Sure.
I have the Crouch one
Do you?
signed either by EC or by somebody else.
Let's see. Let's read the headlines here. Who is Eric Crouch? The Nebraska quarterback's unlikely road to Heisman frontrunner. Terrell Owens, the 49ers' big headache. And Lennox Lewis, sweet revenge. And then on this one, it just says, Tommy Frazier and the Huskers rout Florida.
Yeah, I think is that the commemorative issue?
I believe it is.
Because
it's the Fiesta Bowl special issue.
You do know if Nebraska volleyball wins 4 more, that there will be.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know it was over here.
There will be probably a couple of there'll be some books and some magazines that will be published about this run that would be an unbeaten season.
I would say so.
All right. Here is our good friend Brian Blade to kick off the last hour. Good morning. Brian?
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 Well, they have an event tonight, Midwest Western Wrestling Association over in Lincoln. So that's what he was going to come and talk about. I believe it's at some lounge that I've been to so many times, and I've done multiple events there, and I always forget what the name of it is.
A lounge in Lincoln?
It's
not at their regular home?
It's at the First Avenue Lounge.
Okay.
Yeah, it's over there.
There you go.
Nice little setup.
All right. Nebraska's made it official here in the last couple of minutes. Rob Orich and Jeep Wade are part of Nebraska's staff. So Lonnie Teasley and Roy Manning have not been officially announced yet.
Ronnie Teasley's he's the offensive line coach that's going to be as like the recruiting guy. Yes.
So those two have been announced. Phil Snow will talk later this morning in Lincoln. So those two have been announced, and we will see what is next. They're still in search of a defensive line coach, but Elijah Robinson at LSU is now interviewing other defensive line coaches, and LSU insiders say that not going to happen. So is it Penn State and Nebraska for a defensive line coach who is a recruiter and Rule knows? You're either a recruiter or you're not.
Yeah.
I think the inexperienced at the college level defensive line coach not being able to recruit hurt him.
Well, yes.
That was a subtle little drop about great assistant coaches can recruit. So Nebraska's playing the what funnel do I put you in? Are you a coacher or are you a recruiter?
Yeah, and it's interesting too.
And if
that
you can be both, you're cooking with peanut oil. But that seems to be rarer and rarer these days.
It seems like the Rule has taken advantage of having kind of the unlimited coaching hires essentially. And so there are some coaches that they are just kind of coaching, that they are just kind of staying back at home base. And if anybody ever wants to watch film or do stuff with them, they can do that. And then there are just coaches that are just recruiters. So, but I do think there's always an advantage of having a coach who could do both, and like you go ahead and like, so from like this perspective, right? And this is a different, it's a weird perspective, but it's kind of similar into what we're comparing things to. But it's like when they go ahead and they recruit for like schools, right? Like College of Business, or they recruit for the College of Journalism, like over at Nebraska. You get to know the recruiters, you get to meet the recruiters, you get to talk to them. They're like your number one contact. You get to like make a good connection with them, have a good relationship with them. And then when you actually get to the school, you never see them again. You never talk to them again. And it's like it's almost as like, hey, that's like a lost relationship. Where I think it's such a benefit if like you're the guy who's going to coach, it goes ahead and recruits you. You create that special relationship that will help you like go ahead and develop as a player, where if you kind of use the system of, all right, hey, I'm going to recruit you and I'm going to get you here. And then as soon as you get here, we're not going to talk nearly as much as we were before. Like there's definitely, you have to do both. Like there's a major benefit of doing both, where I understand kind of their system a little bit of having guys specializing in that, but you're never going to beat the dual threat coach, if you will.
Who's their best recruiter on the staff? I think Rule is a good closer. When he senses that there's blood in the water. Who's their best recruiter?
do they really have a guy that you would say is like a recruiting eight? Phil Simpson is a pretty good recruiter. Addison Williams does a lot of good work in Florida.
You know who I think is a subtle, really good recruiter?
Satterfield?
Marcus Satterfield.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's
EJ Barthel is a good recruiter, but doesn't really recruit his position. He recruits areas.
No.
But Marcus Satterfield has got some wins. Donnie it took him a bit to get into the recruiting mode, but he was starting to rack them up. That's why I look at the recent hires, like on the defensive side of the ball, and I think Rule knows that regardless of who the quarterback is in 2026, it might be a little choppy at the beginning on offense, so we got to be good out of the gates on defense. If you look at their hires and what they do best, but we got to go get some dudes. He's probably listened to me saying he can't win games when they don't have better talent.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to prove you wrong,
sure,
Mr. Radio Guy. We're going to go out and get an abundance of talent. We'll just have Jimmys and Joes, and we'll be able to beat everybody because we got more Jimmys and Joes.
I hope it didn't take you saying that for them to realize that they have to go out and get Jimmys and Joes. I
stick with it. That sounds a lot better.
Well, I know that in reality, it didn't take Gary Sharp saying it to them for them to go out and get it. But yeah, that's basic stuff of like I don't know. Like,
I think you can get comfortable in recruiting at Nebraska because everybody says you can recruit at Nebraska. Okay. You're always going to be competitive. You're going to be a top 20 unit. You know what? Hey, you're just Nebraska. You're going to be able to get guys. And for the most part, that's true. And Nebraska has consistently, now this year is different, consistently been 18 to 25.
Yes.
Maybe you jump a little bit higher. Maybe you jump just a little bit lower. But it's not like Nebraska has been in the wilderness in recruiting and when it comes to rankings. Now, they also get a Nebraska bump.
Yeah.
There's a slight bump when Nebraska recruits a guy and they get a guy. Not always, but it does happen a little bit, is that you don't get comfortable that everybody says, well, you can just recruit at Nebraska. Well, okay, then you just develop them. I go back to watching the last couple of recruiting classes under this staff and the guys that are here that have either progressed or haven't done anything is these additions to the staff. They have a background of recruiting. Are they evaluators?
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things about being a recruiter at a college level, when they're sitting around the room and they're deciding who they're going to offer and they're looking at tape, is can you project a kid? In your system with that position coach, can you project this is where he is? In 2 years, coach, he's going to be here. We can get him coached up. I wonder about their strength in evaluation. And then you go evaluation, closing the deal, development.
I think with this team, though, with this program, is that they have their markers. They have their track times. They have their speeds. They have their measurables. They have the things that they find important to them, and they recruit to that. So I think from an evaluation standpoint, they've done that. But I think also, too...
I think, though, at the beginning, I think they're starting to change a little bit.
Okay.
When I look at linemen. Like they used to have tackle has to be this, guard has to be that. They've changed just a little bit. They're not as stuck because they're not alone. There's a lot of teams that'll be like, hey, you got to you're playing that position, you got to run a blank.
Yeah.
Instead of going, man, you can just play ball. I think I can get you in the system and you'll play. They've adjusted a hair on that compared to when they first came in. They said, okay, our tackle's got to look like this, guard's got to look like this, cornerbacks have to look like this.
So the point I was going to bring up, and you're hitting it, right? You hit it right before I got there, which was in terms of the evaluation and in terms of like them developing players the way that you thought they could, they really haven't. Okay, let's just be real. Like what was promoted to us as to what player development and player evaluation will look like has not hit the mark. Because if it did hit the mark, you don't go 7-5 in your third year, right? With the schedule that they have. And so my question and my thought was going to be, have they changed that at all? And are they willing to look at some of the things that they thought important and then it didn't necessarily develop with some of the guys that they were targeting with those measurements? Do they go ahead and change some of those things? And I'm willing to believe, Gary, that they are willing to change those things because of some of the changes that they've made in other areas. Like just coaching staff and like the fact that they have gone out and said, hey, you know what? Yeah, we are going to go ahead and we're going to fire these guys and we're going to bring these dudes in and we're going to admit some of our mistakes and we're going to make sure and adjust and maybe overcorrect for some of the mistakes that we've made in the past. I think that I give Matt Rule needs to be held accountable for some of the bad hires that he's made. But we also at the same time have to give him credit for his course adjustment. Should he have needed to adjust course? Okay, probably not. Is it? I mean, like, there's only so much credit you can give there. But because he's done it, I'm willing to believe that, hey, they're willing to look, like you mentioned, look at some of the evaluations, look at some of the measurables, look at some of the things and say, hey, we need to adjust this because maybe it worked at other places. Maybe it worked in the Big 12. Maybe it worked at Baylor or Temple, but it may not work in the Big 10.
All right. Volleyball tonight for Nebraska at the John on the Terry at the Bob. 353rd sellout tonight, 354th sellout on Sunday. And then, if you like sitting in the SRO, you're SLO. Because SRO is going away with that building being reconfigured. Everybody talks about volleyball and how much it'll benefit volleyball, and that's the driver of the changes down there to have permanent seating and everything will be chair backs, and they will have cup holders, and the amenities will be really, really nice. It will also benefit wrestling. That'll be the ability to add more bodies in there for wrestling. But for volleyball, tonight's and Sunday are the last time for standing room only. Standing room only is gone.
It's have you done standing room only?
I do not like standing room only.
Okay.
Because to go to an event, I got to have a ticket.
Yeah.
I don't like buying tickets off the street. I need to have a ticket so that I know I have a seat.
Yeah.
I have only twice been standing room only, and I couldn't stand there the entire game. It had nothing to do with you're standing for 9 innings or whatever. It's just I felt like I should just walk around. Yeah. And then also I immediately went into the mode of, okay, what seats are open? Can I slide down there? Is it going to take me sliding some cash to the usher to get down to those seats? So I've only done standing room only twice. I don't go to an event without a physical ticket on my phone or in my hands. I just don't, because I don't want to get there and not get in. And I also want to have a plan. I'm a guy that has to have a plan.
Sure.
But the standing room only at that building, it's actually not bad. They don't oversell standing room only, and you have a little bit of space. Now, you gotta fight to get the front row, and you see what happens like when they open Jerry's World and there's a sprint to go be in the standing room only. It's not bad there, but it's going away. And I don't know. I don't think we sell. They sell standing room only for the College World Series?
Ooh, good. I don't know.
Now, there's a lot of people that stand on the concourse, but a lot of that is because it's 150 degrees.
Do they have
They might sell standing room only in the outfield.
Do they have a designated standing room though?
Well, you've walked the concourses. Yeah. Everybody is lined up. That must be the standing room only. Is that I think that might be now the last place that has standing room only in this area that sells standing room only tickets.
I don't know.
Because football in Lincoln, they don't sell standing room only because where would you stand?
I think they still sell standing room only tickets for pro games at playoffs, but I don't know if they're still selling standing room only.
Cowboys games, they have standing room.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's the Cowboys.
They have room.
Yeah. I bought one. I've only done standing room only once in my lifetime, and that was when we went to Fenway Park, and my dad called it hell on earth. Because him and I are both the same, where we're antsy and we have to be like moving and walking and like jittering around and stuff like that. And it was awful. And then he didn't bribe the usher to go down to seats and sit in them, but he kind of like just read the room and was like, nope, we're going to walk down here and pretend these are our seats. So
I think the only standing room only they ever did at Memorial Stadium, and I don't think it was quote unquote standing room only, was the knothole section. You know where underneath the North and South Stadium, that used to be ADA seating.
Really?
Which was a terrible view because you were field level and you had a lot of people that were walking in front of you or camera people.
Really hot when it was hot too, like the Troy Day.
You know those
I think they may have said that's standing room only, but I don't think there's no real I mean, are you selling tickets along the fence behind the benches?
No way. There's no way you could see.
I don't think they've ever had like officially standing room only in Lincoln.
By the way, I've been on that sideline where you're next to all of the players. Like even when you're on that sideline, it's really, really hard to like not be behind. You can't be in front of the lines you're supposed to be behind without seeing the play like develop. Like no, there's no way they sell. But
Frank says, did they sell standing room only at Devaney when basketball was there? Maybe at the top of the C. When they had the C section? maybe those were standing room only. Maybe on the ends because things were planks.
Yeah.
Maybe they did sell some standing room only, or way up in the corners in the C section. They may have had some standing room only up there because those were planks as well.
The North Stadium seats, right? In that little cave that there are all those leather like seats back there. Like, you know what I'm talking about? That area. Is that like a
North Stadium?
I think it's North Stadium, right behind, like in the end zone, like
South Stadium.
South Stadium.
Yeah.
So okay.
In the corner.
In the corner. Is that like a good place to watch the game?
No.
Okay. Because you look at it and you're like, hey, that's cool. Like,
no, I've never been. I don't get other than the amenities. I don't get the lure of sitting on the field in football. You can't see everything. You end up watching the game on Husker Vision. That's why I got a really, really good friend who fights with me all the time because I'm like, he was so excited when Nebraska changed sidelines. He goes, "Now I'm going to be behind the Nebraska bench," and I'm like, "You're in row 4. Okay, you're at the 30-yard line. You're in row 4.
Yeah.
You can't see anything because on that side of the field, you already have the TV camera and the truck that drives back and forth.
Yeah.
And you got to look through the players." He goes, "It's a great seat." I'm like, "No, it's not. You're only 4 rows up. And the way it's configured is it's not like at an angle where 4 rows up, you got a good view."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I love this." I go,
Is he paying too much for it?
I'm never giving these seats up. Now, I don't know what he pays.
Sure.
But he's like, "I'm never giving these up. These are great seats." And I'm like, to me, you're looking at the asses of players the entire game. And now they've added on the sidelines with the benches, they have the overhangs. How can you see the field?
That's a good point. They do have the
I'm not
overhangs.
spending money to go to Memorial Stadium and sit there and watch the game on Husker Vision to get the atmosphere. I'd stay at home. He's like, "Nope, these are great seats. I love row 4, about the 33-yard line on the Nebraska sideline.
Yeah.
There's great seats." I'm like, "You're ridiculous."
I've watched games from the West Stadium, East Stadium, and the North Stadium, and I think my favorite seats so far have been in the 600 section. Like I really like being that high up and like being able to see. It's like the all 22 essentially. Like you're just seeing in real time.
Yeah.
I like it. Can get a little. Don't get me wrong. They can look like ants at times. Like it can get a little like you can
but look
squeeze
at
them with
this.
your fingers.
Like the flyover, you can see into the cockpit.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. So,
club seating. Club seating is the area.
Yeah. So for the Michigan game, where
A
Nebraska.
little bougie.
Well, it was the one time the parents came into town, and so they bought the tickets. I didn't buy the tickets, and
Those are good seats.
They were awesome. My mom twisted her ankle before she got in. She was walking up the curb, and she, just twisted her ankle on accident. So she it got swollen and everything like that. And so we were in the club seats, and it was a very hot day. If you remember that Michigan game where they lost like 42-7, they ended like
45-10.
It was they put her up in the air conditioning and she was able to recover because of that. And it was very great seating.
Oh, so it was all the plan.
No, it wasn't a ploy for my mom to twist her ankle before she went into the game. My dad was just like, well, we actually didn't buy the tickets. We were given the tickets by season ticket holders who
45-7, by the way. Sorry, Joshua Fleeks.
Yeah, I was like, they didn't kick a field goal that game. It was just Josh Fleeks and the only play he ever made as a Nebraska Cornhusker.
It was a good run, 74 yards.
I didn't see it. I walked out of the stadium before it happened.
Nebraska had 30 yards rushing before that run at the end of the fourth quarter, or the end of the fourth quarter.
Remember that Hardberg 4th and 1? The shotgun snap? That play gets forgotten because they got their ass whooped that game, but that still had to go down as one of the dumber plays we've seen in the Matt Rule era.
It was a rough day.
He took that snap and ran directly into Ben Scott's ass. And it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Not a good day. Not a good day, but everybody got to meet J.J. McCarthy's girlfriend.
Yeah.
They were hanging out on the sidelines in the fourth quarter. All right, thanks for bringing up that memory.
And they got to see the throw that was on every single J.J. McCarthy draft tape for the next 6 months.
To Roman Wilson?
Yeah, on the run.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that was an awesome throw. That was an awesome throw.
Yeah.
Probably the best throw of his career.
It was hot that day. It was hot.
It was
like the Florida State game in 85.
Steamy game.
All right. On that note, we'll take a break. We'll come back on a Football Friday Fiesta on 1620 The Zone. All right, so Nebraska plays KU in volleyball tonight. All-time, Nebraska's 88-0-1. When do they have a draw?
Against KU in volleyball? You can have draws in volleyball?
88-0-1, according to the KU notes that I was just sifting through.
All right. Wasn't when I was in college because every time Nebraska swept them.
Ties are dumb. And the only reason I say that is because the Packers are benefiting from their tie against Dallas.
There it is.
When it comes to the standings. Yes, it's there because the Bears need to win the NFC North. Because everybody, it's either you're one or the other in the North this year. You're either really, really good or you're terrible. And just the NFC in general. And so everybody's got 9 and 10 wins. And it's going to be one of those years where like a 10-win team might get left out
You're
of the
bracing
playoffs.
yourself, aren't you?
Hey, look
got
this
me
up.
worried.
So the tie was in 1977.
I wasn't there then.
A match that has become a point of discussion in KU history.
Wow.
Okay. I was going to look this up, and this person has me blocked. Okay.
You're blocked?
They cover KU athletics. I don't even know this person.
Why are you blocked?
Well, I think you can't ask them. If on Twitter, if somebody has
I
you
think
blocked,
you-
there's not like a form to go, hey, why do you have me blocked?
I think that'd be great. I think a one-time form to like be reinstated, you know? I don't think I'm blocked by anybody.
Yeah.
Wow.
On Twitter. I don't think I
may have to
you
have
know
some
what?
speaks
I
with
am,
whoever that is.
I'm
hold on
blocked
here.
by a couple of White Sox
Hey,
accounts.
thank you, Happer. He just sent me a different link. So 1977.
So I have it here. It says Nebraska volleyball dominated Kansas, but a unique disputed tie occurred in November during a match where Nebraska won the first set 18-16, but lost the second set 7-15 before winning the match, with the split sets leading to confusion and a reported tie in some records. The legendary Nebraska coach Terry Pettit attributed it to miscommunication or playing a different team, while KU's official history notes a first match loss, but remembers that tie is a rare moment of success against the powerhouse
So
Huskers.
here's what happened. So thank you, Happer, for sending this. The problem is, so this game was the tie, 88-0-1 is what Nebraska is against KU. The tie was, or draw, November 5th, 1977. The problem is Nebraska was not in Lawrence on that day.
Oh,
So that was the first year of Terry Pettit, according to this article at KUSports.com. Terry Pettit, Nebraska, they were in Los Angeles for the National Women's Invitational Tournament.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So who did KU
They
play
split
that?
a match that day. It was just not against KU.
Oh,
So KU and Nebraska didn't tie either on that date. Recorded on the KU website, the 1977 volleyball schedule, November 12th.
What if I tell you they didn't play?
Yeah.
you don't need a 30 for 30
But
on a tie that was just manufactured.
Ghosted.
Look,
The Nebraska-Kansas volleyball
There have been
story.
plenty of times in sports histories where records have been mangled and,
I didn't know this.
incorrectly scored.
I know about the
for certain
KU-Mizzou
reasons.
dispute.
Go and look at Michael Jordan's Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, that shouldn't have happened.
Why? He was good.
Happer says Pettit thought they maybe played Nebraska's JV.
The split squad.
That's funny.
All right. Ed emails me at Equitable Bank inbox, Gary at 1620thezone.com. He goes, you're speaking my language. I am Mr. SRO guy at the Devaney Center. Whatever questions you have, let me answer them. Let me also tell you that right now, the SRO tickets that, so he prefaces by saying, I'm a bigger guy and I don't feel comfortable sitting in the regular seats at the Devaney Center because people around me would be uncomfortable as well. So he goes, my choice is to sit or to stand in the standing room only. Oh, then he goes on. He goes, I'm 6'9", 285 pounds. Okay.
Lord.
That's a good
so
four
now,
right
so
there.
now, wait a minute. This
Hell yeah.
opens another question. You're that tall and you're in standing room only at the top of the Devaney Center.
Yeah.
No one can see around you. But he goes, I am the guy to talk to about standing room only tickets. I don't know if you've looked, but for tonight, I bought mine face value $60.
Oh, wow.
He goes, but on secondary sites, they're probably going to be about 125 to be standing room only for the weekend. He goes, here's the thing for anybody that wants to partake in standing room only. And he goes, yes, I am sad that they are going away, but I am going to purchase tickets in regular seats. He goes, they're at the tip top of the arena up near the banners. He goes, it's not a designated area. He goes, that's why I like, because you can pick where you can stand and you can move around. He goes, the view is not bad. He goes, most of the people that are in standing room only at the Vanny Center that I am with, we have been doing SRO because that's our easiest path to get into the arena. He goes, so it's kind of a community up there if you are coming to be an SRO this weekend for the say goodbye to standing room only. He said they do get expensive though, because people look at them and they're the cheapest tickets, so they get bought up. So he said, yes. He goes, but I love standing room only as somebody that is tall and a little bit wide. I feel like I feel better standing than sitting in the tight seats. He goes, but the view is not bad at all. He goes, I'm kind of sad it's going away, but I get it.
The SRO community. That's awesome. That's great.
I bet they're cool.
I'm immediately, I think, by the way, when you say you're 6'9", is what college sport did you play? Was Ed a basketball
Tennis
player? No, wasn't. Well, he could be.
No, he was a 4. Could have been a 5 in a smaller lineup.
Scanner, there's, I don't know. Is there there's a lot of standing room only tickets at Wrigley, but I don't know where they would.
They're on there. So they're kind of littered throughout the ballpark.
Yeah.
They are up. So way at the top.
Oh, really?
So under the overhang. Yeah. You got some, they're more of the obstructed. Now there are regular seats at Wrigley that are obstructed.
Well, the entire, what seems like the first base line, if you're up, like tucked in the corner by right field.
Also at Morris Day. I don't know how people sit behind the pillars.
No, neither do I.
Yeah. But at Wrigley, the SRO at Wrigley is not great.
No, I couldn't imagine.
I think, do they still sell on the back fence and left field and right field? Those are standing room only.
They might be over there. You know what? I see. Standing room only tickets, I see a lot more of them on sale for the playoffs. When the playoffs are going on and they just want to pack as many people there as possible, they're prep. But there still are games at Wrigley where it's like it'd be a Wednesday at 1:00, regardless if the Cubs are good, you can get in there for pretty cheap. That's the one thing about the baseball games in standing room only. It's like
wait a minute. So do they sell SRO at PBA in the open end?
Oh God!
And do they sell? They have to sell SRO at the Chai, right? Because they have the two open ends where you can stand.
I wouldn't know about the Chai.
By the one end that's got the beer garden.
But that would
where Happer does Jay's Live.
Happer would know if they're standing room only over there. Let me look at Nebraska the seating arrangement for PBA.
All right, while we do that, let's sneak in Brian Blade. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. I had little gremlins there this morning.
How you doing?
I'm good. Getting ready for tonight, It's gonna be a good night of beating up Ricky Morton, WWE Hall of Famer and legend. I get to beat him up tonight.
Yeah, they booked Ricky Morton. They got him.
That's a good get there.
Yeah.
Sorry I won't be there tonight,
Brian.
Brian.
Not allowed to be there though.
Yeah, I won't be there tonight. I'm sorry about that, but I'm sure it'll be a great event.
It's gonna be a great event. It's gonna be like I said, Ricky Morton, WWE Hall of Famer, and he's getting to the end of his career. So
clearly,
great to have him in Nebraska. He hasn't been here in, I think he said, since 1990.
Oh, wow.
Whoa! What brought him here in '90? Did he wrestle downtown at the Civic?
No, he wrestled at Exarban for WCW. At the old Exarban Coliseum.
Ooh, okay,
that's incredible. They had WCW.
WCW used to come to the old Exarban Coliseum. They never went to the Civic Auditorium. The WWF had the Civic Auditorium, so WCW would go to the old Exarban Coliseum there.
Oh, and the great place where you would stick to the floor with all the spilled drinks and stuff. Hey, Brian, good luck. Where can people get tickets? Give us a quick details on tonight.
You can get tickets at ticketstripe.com /MWA Rock and Roll. Otherwise, we got tickets at the door tonight. Front row's about sold out, but come on down. We got plenty of general admission still left. Like I said, this will be the last time you probably ever see Ricky Morton in the state of Nebraska. In fact, I know it'll be the last time you see Ricky Morton in the state of Nebraska this weekend. So come out and see a legend at the First Avenue Social Hall in Lincoln. We start up tonight at 7:30. It's going to be a great show tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got 4 championship matches, crowning a new women's champion, and so it's going to be an excellent night of wrestling tonight.
Hey, great stuff, Brian. Good luck tonight with the card.
Thanks, Gary. Matt, we'll see you next time, brother.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you. That's Brian Blade, Mr. Professional Wrestling in the state of Nebraska.
Might make a special appearance next time. Might get in the ring next time.
Haven't you? Oh no, you've been as an announcer.
As an announcer.
Yeah.
What if I were to take my shirt off in the ring, we'd have to start doing the 1620 of the zone combine every day.
Just wear a leotard.
No, I'm not going to wear a leotard.
Why?
Bet a zone logo on it.
I'd wear, you know what? If you could get me like
Wear a singlet.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to wear a singlet.
Why?
I'm a hairy guy. You know, I'm a hairy guy.
Many men are.
A lot of people have been hairy and wore a singlet.
Yeah, but those guys were 6'6", 300 pounds, like looked like a S brick house.
Zone singlet.
They were cock diesel.
Powers that be upstairs can make it happen.
Jason said not for every Creighton game, but for select games, they do SRO.
There is no SRO for the Nebraska game I'm looking at. But granted, it's against the North Dakota Fighting Hawks. So let me look here. Maybe hear about the Michigan State game. Let's see if there's SRO at PBA.
In the open end? Or why can't you stand at the top of the 100 level?
It says Lumberworks. Section Lumberworks. So I think that might be standing room only.
So they refer to the standing room only fans
I
as
have
Lumberworks?
It says
Common people.
2 tickets, clear view, no image available. Lumberworks, including fees. And then nothing. I don't know. It doesn't even tell you where the tickets are. So I think that might be your standing room only.
All right. 2 more days of standing room only at the John on the Terry at the bottom.
They got to consolidate that in some way.
That's all I think of
great.
it as now.
Legend Stadium.
I look on the court for that.
It is. So I think these are, because it says section blue 3. I think these are like standing room only tickets. So you have standing room only at PBA. I'm almost positive.
All right. Good luck to everybody that's going to be part of the SRO community tonight at the Devaney Center. I'm sure you guys will have a get together afterwards. But I appreciate the email. Honest.
We would like to be invited to
like,
that.
He goes, I'm 6'9". I can't sit in the regular seats, and I make people around me uncomfortable because of my legs. So I like to stand in the SRO.
That's
probably
very
cheaper.
That's very courteous of him.
I wonder where his new seats will be if he said, I am going to stay in. He goes, I'm staying in the Devaney Center. He goes, I will have regular seats.
You think he'd try and suggest to put him somewhere where he's not sitting in front of people?
I don't think that's like they have when you go to get tickets. Hey, the guy in front of you is 6'8". He's probably going to wear a hat.
Like not to.
We got tickets for
Ed's
you.
a good guy, and I don't want to. I'm not saying anything about Ed, but I personally, if I were a season ticket holder and I spent that money, and Ed was sitting in front of me and he was 6'9", yes, I would be a little annoyed. I'd
Make
be
friends.
like, "Come on, you kidding me?" Like I gotta duck around a little bit in the season tickets, but there's nothing Ed can. The reason why I
workout.
don't want to be mean is there's nothing Ed can do about it. Ed can't control how tall he is, and so it's just like I feel bad for him because I'm sure there are people who are like, "Oh, I gotta sit behind this big guy," but he can't control it. You know, we gotta be. You know how we treat short kings so well? We give a lot of credit to people who are like 5'5" and 5'6", and we kind of have a little bit of sympathy for them because they can't control their height. We kind of have to do it the other way for people who are like 6'9", 6'10", and 6'11". Because let's be real, we're living in a 5'8" to a 6'3" man's world, right? You ever say? I mean, somebody at 6'9", that's going to be hard going on a plane. You know, probably have to duck when you get in on the plane. You probably have to move your head like that.
We have flown commercial this year for Omaha men's basketball, and we have a 7'1" player, who gets asked, basketball? No, we're the hockey team.
No.
Golf.
Dmitrievich lives in my building, and I see him walking around all the time. Anyway, every time he's walking by, I've seen multiple people just look up at him and be like, what are you?
Nothing like traveling with a basketball team that has a bunch of tall guys that are, because we got a couple guys that are 6'10" and a 7'1", and people just stare. They're like, well, just stare. But I get it, because the average height of a male globally is 5'9".
Above average.
Oh, you think?
I am.
We'll put a wrap on the show after this. Yeah, on 1620 The Zone. All right, this is from Cody on our discussion in the last segment. I'm 6 foot tall and have had season tickets in South Stadium behind a guy that was 6'7" and over 404 bills.
Wow.
Those benches are not roomy enough to sit near him. Trisha has a story about her 6'10" ex-husband. Good morning.
Good morning. First off, love you guys.
Thank you.
7 to 4 listener every day. So, and I live in Western Nebraska, as Josh would call it. Anyway, my 6'10" husband never ever ex-husband has been to a volleyball game with me because I am in the first row of plastic seats at the Bob, and I am right under 6 foot, and there's no way. Never. The first game I went to, I'm like, I tried to get our seats moved. I am hoping to God by paying a buttload of money this year, I will move down one row just so I get 4 inches more of leg room. But we did have women's basketball tickets, and my best story about that is that they moved us 3 times. When Moose was still the athletic director, the 3rd time they moved us, I was irritated, and so I shot an email to him. Thought nothing of it, figured, screw it, nothing's going to come of it. 2 days later, the ticket department called me, and I have great season basketball tickets for the women.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
So,
all right. How we feeling about this weekend? Kansas and then potentially Texas A&M or Louisville.
I feel great about tonight. I'm a little more nervous about Sunday. But I do feel these women are on a mission, and they've had the hurt the last couple of years, and they're playing free. They're playing with love for one another and love for the game. So I truly believe this is our year.
Well, there's a lot of people, Tricia, that are very jealous of you that you have great seats at the Devaney Center. So enjoy the last 2 home matches. Are you going to go to Kansas City?
Thanks. No, I won't. Next year I'll be wherever the Final Four is. I will go next year. I've been to Omaha several times, and I have been to the Kansas City Final Four years ago.
Oh, fantastic. Tricia, thanks for the phone call. A team that has a personality is the best way it was described to me yesterday after we were talking about Danny Busboom Kelly letting them do everything. I think also if this run continues and Creighton is 1 away, Nebraska needs 2, and then they can meet up in Kansas City, but they would not meet up until the final.
Oh, wow.
Which would be really, really, really interesting. It's okay to say out loud, like if this run continues and they add 4 more wins and they go through the season unbeaten, whether they drop a set or 2 along the way, that Nebraska volleyball has the best coach. And there's no argument. She was in the final. She was in the national championship match last year.
Yeah.
She moves to her alma mater where there's all kinds of pressure. And there is a great little 5.5-minute video of her, John Cook, and the team that is up on ESPN.com that I'm sure they will air because they're airing, they're in Lincoln, that they will air. It's really, really good. It's not a bunch of new information, but you get to hear John Cook and Danny Busboom Kelly and then Harper Murray talk about the whole process and how the season has gone. If she pulls off the national championship in her first year back at her alma mater after doing what she did at Louisville, I don't think there's any discussion who's the best coach in college volleyball right now. And it's not just a 1-year Nebraska thing. So I'm with Tricia. They get by tonight. Why don't I play Louisville? Because that's really awkward.
Yeah.
There'll be a little tension there of, okay, you got to do it. You got to do it.
And you add emotions to a game that already is going to have a ton of emotions, right? Which is
just the awkwardness of, I know all of them. She took their coaching staff to Runza the other night. They were in town. And she said, where do you guys want to go? Where do you guys want to go to dinner in Lincoln? And the head coach of Louisville said, I want to go to Runza. So the Runza on West O.
Hell yeah.
So if you're working at the Runza on West O on Wednesday night, you saw the head coach of Nebraska and the Louisville coaching staff were sitting in there eating Runza.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Yeah. I hope they, like you said, I hope they ordered burgers. I hope they got on the streak. But it, like you said, it gets awkward and it's a little worrying because, like, Louisville is a good team and they probably will be there for a reason. But then you have that added kind of baggage of everything. And it's like, you don't know how the reactions would be. But at the same time, they've been such a wagon where There's been
it would
no
have more-
reason to think other than they're going to be awesome and they're going to go and perform.
It would be like if you're playing for Nebraska, it has no effect on you. You're playing Louisville, and they're really good.
Yeah.
It would just be your head coach, and then the players on Louisville's side of like, man, I really like Danny. Do we have to beat her?
Yeah, that'd be funny.
That should be, as AK said, they don't announce it until after the matches are done tonight. But it does look like if Nebraska, well, regardless, the Lincoln regional or the final will be on ABC. Just don't know what time it'll be. So enjoy. Have a good show tomorrow with Creighton basketball.
Yeah, should be fun. Should be a lot of fun.
Enjoy the sports weekend, everybody. There is a little bit of snow is on the way tomorrow and bitter cold. So stay indoors and watch football. What, minus 20?
What, the
Bears and the Browns?
Yeah. So my dad told me yesterday, he was like, yeah, I saw tickets. They were like $60. I was going to go to the game. And then I checked the weather.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, that's why it's so cheap. And then my mom told my dad, if you go, you will die. His wife, she told him that. She goes, I am going to be worried about your health if you do that. And my dad told me, he's like, I'm too old to be cold and miserable. And I'm like, good. Just watch from your couch, dude.
All right, crossover's coming up next. If you're out and about today, looking for something for Christmas, I'll be at the Saul's Jewelry and Loan in